So this segment is called Poetry or Noetry.
That's right.
Would you care to explain it? I believe you thought of this one.
So this one is sort of a little lighthearted jab towards Jake's love of the spoken word.
The written word.
The written word. Jake loves poetry.
I do love poetry. I love poetry. There are a lot of poems that will actually bring me to tears. And not just like, oh, my eye is wet, but like... pretty
tears streaming down.
Yeah, essentially, even short of breath sometimes.
Wow, like hyperventilating a little bit.
Yeah.
Are you reading on a treadmill or just completely from stasis? You're on a couch and then within 3 minutes you're.
I'm on a treadmill, but it is stationary.
Stationary bike.
Yeah,
on a treadmill.
On a treadmill.
Neither
exactly.
of which are on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's how I like to take it.
Do you find yourself crying more since you had a child?
For sure.
Like release your emotional something or other.
Yeah. No. I mean, I cry. I was emotional before, but like yesterday, Jill and I were watching the baby like try to fall asleep. We're doing that thing where they cry until they fall asleep, essentially, and we're doing like a middle ground where you're allowed to check on them sometimes. But she's crying. She's trying to go to sleep. She goes to bed. She wakes up an hour or two later. She starts crying. We're just like watching. It's like, all right, well, we have 5 minutes, and then we go in to try to like relax her.
That could be a good segment, by the way.
Yeah, 5 minutes of my baby crying. But she's crying. She puts her finger in her mouth, and then she kind of just goes back to sleep. And Jill and I both just burst into tears.
Really?
We're both just crying our eyes out.
Because you don't have to go in, or because she was
Because it was just so,
stopped?
it's just, she looks so fucking, it's so hard. She's like struggling, and then she just like looks peaceful, and you're just like, I want to fucking go in and give you a hug and say, amazing job. You got yourself back to sleep. That was
so
huge.
Low, yeah.
Yeah.
She just has to go back to sleep.
She does anything.
The highlight of your day.
Yeah. She smiles at me when I wake up, I could cry.
What is the gas mileage on the RAV4?
So the RAV4 was
city.
Incredible.
In
50 miles to the
highway.
Gallon. Yeah. I mean, it was amazing.
I could cry.
The 4Runner that I traded in for, 18.
That's not
18
useful.
on the highway.
That's not useful.
No.
It really isn't.
No, it's not. But I don't care.
Okay, so the shtick is Jake loves poems. I think I'm sort of like, hey, my 4-year-old can do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read you a few poems.
Okay. Oh, a few.
Yeah. I think I've got 3. Two of them are real poems and one of them's fake, which means I wrote it.
Right. So,
they're all real poems, but I like to call the one I wrote a fake
This segment
poem.
is actually just you tried to write poetry. In a world where you don't think poetry sucks, it's like I did my best to write a poem.
Right. And my goal, of course, is to convince you that the one I farted out on the shitter is just as good as an award-winning poem.
Oh, so these all won awards. So it's not like you just because you could have also just found 2 bad poems.
That's correct.
These are award-winning poems.
Award-winning poems by people who dedicate their lives to poetry, and
craft.
then the judges thought, you know what, this is actually good enough.
The poet laureate of Kansas.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then me on a notes app getting high as shit saying maybe Jake will like this. I said when we were coming up with this idea, the funniest result is me like you find out that I'm an amazing poet.
Right.
Like you're crying at mine. I'm like,
yours.
is that any good? How did you harness the power of fatherhood?
My God. I've been trying to write poems for a decade. I haven't been able to do what you did.
Okay. First one. It's called The Last Leaf Before Winter.
Okay.
Any inclination so far? You're sort of keeping your heart and mind open.
I'm keeping everything open. Okay.
September will never come, she said, crop circles in her eyes, looking deeply and falling. Back to earth when she looks forward. The cigarette butt touches the ground. It's the cancer, he said. She smiled and tipped the man, then laughed all the way home.
Wow. I don't know if you can zoom in, but my eyes did get misty.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
Well, you don't
I'll
have to
guess,
say. Yeah, you don't have to guess yet.
No chance you wrote that poem. You did not write that poem. Are you laughing because you did?
Let's find out together. No chance you wrote that poem.
Oh my God, he did. Are you an amazing poet?
You don't know yet.
Oh my God.
Okay. This one's called Sadie.
Sadie?
Yep. We are until We are not. I should say the pauses are line breaks.
Yeah.
Because I want you to sort of visualize it. We are until we are not. Quarter parts divided between 3 generations. Mix and matched, but mostly Sadie.
Okay.
That one, you're considering that I could have written.
Yeah, that one wasn't for me, and it was math and division based, kind of like a fraction thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's you.
Okay.
But let's hear the last one.
Last one's a haiku.
Okay. That one's a haiku by you.
It's called Muse.
Nice. I started crying.
You are transparent, fading through the lines of my battered poetry.
Okay.
It seems like you're leaning to one of the last 2.
Yeah. I think you wrote the Sadie one.
Sadie one.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one was called Last Leaf Before Winter.
Yeah. And I'll tell you the reason I didn't think you wrote, well, one, it basically made me cry.
Yep.
And the crop circles. It's the crop circles. I think that's like a really common poetry thing that I don't think you would have come up with. But now you have to tell me if you wrote that poem.
That poem was written by Jessica Burtz.
Great.
Gwinnett Technical College, Lawrenceville, Georgia.
An amazing poem. Congrats.
You knew right away.
Yeah. I mean, that's a poem.
It's a poem.
Yeah.
The other 2, give or take.
I'm a haiku is just never for me.
Yeah.
So you were doomed as soon as you chose a haiku.
Okay, let's read the haiku again, and then you'll be able to see which one was me. Mm-hmm. Muse, you are transparent, fading through the lines of my battered poetry. Was written by Tiffany Carlson, and
Wow.
yes, I did write Sadie. Yeah.
Let's read your poem one more time. Because
it actually really
sucks. And I'll tell you
I
why.
didn't want to fucking say anything, just in case Jessica wrote that.
It's kind of amazing. Poems really just move. They can move you.
Yeah, and I can't quite harness the power yet. This is
Right.
one I want to try again, of course. It's
Yeah.
like the game Balderdash, but with poetry instead
Right.
of the definitions of words. Sadie was...
Sadie by Amir Blumenfeld, 2023.
We are until we are not.
That's pretty solid.
Meaningless, sort of.
Yeah.
Quarter parts divided by 3 generations. Like, we're all a quarter of all of our grandparents, so grandparents, parents,
That's
and you.
what tipped
The fractions. Sorry, I meant crop circles divided by 9.
crop circles and cigarette butts, all right?
Mix and matched, but mostly Sadie. Like I'm like my grandmother the most, I guess. Did you like it at all? Or like, I mean, I'll even take notes.
The first line was interesting.
Oh.
It fell apart moving through it. And then you tried to just like, make it a poem at the end.
Sadie, yeah. Trying to come up with a name I would never say.
Yeah.
So what did you like about Last Leaf Before Winter? What did you get from that? Because I read it, I'm like, this is meaningless to me.
I guess I feel like poetry that I really like is just like very almost mundane slice of life, then stab you with some poignancy.
It's cancer, he said. She smiled and tipped the man, then laughed all the way home.
Yeah. I guess I couldn't even tell in that poem if it was her cancer or his cancer. I think it's her cancer, and she's laughing because life is so fleeting and beautiful.
It's cancer, he said. That's the doctor diagnosing her.
Right.
And then she laughs all the way home.
Don't
read it. It's actually mine. All right? Is that what you wanted to hear?
Okay. September will never come, she said, crop circles in her eyes. So I guess she's saying that she's going to die before the fall. Looking deeply and falling back to earth, she looks forward. The cigarette butt touches the ground. So she's got lung cancer. It's cancer, he said. She smiled and tipped the man. You don't know, you wouldn't tip a doctor.
Yeah.
But I think maybe she's tipping like a parking garage attendant or somebody. I imagined it being at the diner because that's just Americana poetry. Diner vibe. Driving through the fucking hay fields of Iowa.
Yeah.
Then laughed all the way home. Yeah, because if you don't laugh, you cry. You know.
You did both.
It's a great poem.
Great poem. I'm glad you guys were here to listen to it.
Yeah.
I want to try that again. Give me another fucking crack of the bat.
I would love that.
All right, last segment. You know what time it is. It has to be our first recurring segment
Oh my
of the
God.
week.
Poetry or Noetry?
I should say of the pod, really.
Right.
So this
Yeah.
is week 3. We're already out of ideas. We
Yeah.
have to bring it back by popular demand, poetry or Noetry. But the twist is now it's time for me to guess your poems.
That's correct.
You think my poem Sadie sucked? Wait till I hear yours.
My shitty ass poem.
I have less of a perception for this kind of stuff. So
That's
you are more likely to fool me.
Did you tell me the titles of your poems? I think
Yes.
you did, right?
Last
Okay.
Leaf Before Autumn was
Yeah.
the right one that you cried at.
Yeah, that one is very good.
Yeah.
I found a poem that I was going to read to you, but then I started crying as I was reading it, and I was like, I'm not going to cry on.
And
the
that was the one
podcast.
you wrote.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am reading one of my favorite poems today.
Okay.
Okay. This poem is called Shampoo.
You wrote it. Thank you for watching, everyone.
You got it.
And I rated out of 10, right?
Yeah, that's right. Ocean breeze, blowing, bubbling, bonding to each tendril of hair, smelling familiar, not of salt or sand or seafood, but of the mother who drew up baths, floating little boats toward my chubby kid body, laughing as if nothing would change. I now shampoo myself, trying to forget her number in the kitchen, on top of the fridge, in the basket, under my coupon book, as the suds whisper, the smell of ocean breeze permeates each hair and hangs on like a child to her mother.
Okay, you were talking about giving your daughter a bath yesterday.
This is true.
Maybe this is your interpretation of that, or just a happy coincidence, because it does look like you were sort of affected by that.
But you also know that I tried really hard in my poem, so I could make myself cry.
Right. You could also have done like your version of the shower/bath poem.
Anything's possible.
This next one's called Conditioner.
This poem is called In the Dark We Crush.
Crush?
Yes.
Okay.
Crab apples for the sound of it. Light cannot be bitter. The backyard licks us. Blue like kindling. The fox we caught with the shoebox. Your shirt is a constellation in the tent of recovery. If you release the hand, you relax the animal. Bookshelves hold up the moon. I sweep your fur into a feeling. I put you into my memories on purpose. Moss smuggles stars into your cheeks. Inside your body's future, bravery turns to pulp. The flashlight pendulum.
Not over yet.
Not done. The flashlight pendulum. Your face sounds like that record player. Electric and spinning. Let's grow old together. Don't be scared of Gertrude Stein. Be brave.
Okay. Last one.
Autumn's long past.
So this is sort of the last leaf before winter style. Seasons. Poems love seasons.
Yeah.
They're obsessed with the passage
As
of
I was
time.
looking, there are a lot of recurring buzzwords.
Themes, yeah. Tendrils and themes.
Mhm. Many
and,
tendrils.
Yeah. Fireflies and stuff like that.
Smoke, often.
Yeah.
A pot-bellied stove.
Leaves.
Jewel reed and hawk song. The Chevron parking lot in the gloaming. What question don't you know the answer to? A rabbit cage in the potting shed. Embers of your cigarette in the dark.
Cigarette. That was from the fucking last leaf of autumn. You're obsessed. Keep reading.
Where did you learn such a thing? Hold on, I'm getting a call.
Holy shit, it's Gertrude Stein.
Streetlights flicker like your eyes, like the last light of one more goose summer. Heads turned as shadows grow longer, reaching.
Okay. I'm pretty sure the first one is the one that makes you cry. So I'll eliminate that one.
You're eliminating shampoo.
Eliminating shampoo.
Okay.
So then I'm down to the one about Gertrude Stein.
Mm-hmm.
Do not be afraid of Gertrude Stein. Let's grow old together or something. And then that last one, which is like, again, cigarettes in a parking lot, Chevron, very like Americana.
Right.
The second one was pretty long for you to write. It like took you a minute to read it. I don't even remember what it was about. What was that one called?
That one was called In the Dark We Crush.
Which sounds like a title you'd come up with. And then what was the last one called?
Autumn's Past.
Yes. Okay.
A Tale from Autumn's Past.
So
Autumn's Long Past.
Yeah. I think if I had to guess, you wrote the third one because the second one was kind of long and involved, and the third one had cigarette and parking lot and gas stations involved, which I know you liked from 2 weeks ago.
So you don't think I wrote shampoo?
I do not think you wrote shampoo.
You're correct.
You did not write shampoo.
I did not write shampoo.
Shampoo is the one you love.
No, I just discovered it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And I do love it.
Yeah.
And it did kind of make me cry as I read it.
Because it sort of evokes the generations
Yes.
of you getting bathed and then you giving a bath. Yeah.
In the Dark We Crush,
Yeah.
one of my favorite poems.
I wrote it. But I was able to appreciate it.
And I wrote Autumn's Long Past.
So I guess correctly.
You did.
So the second poem is one you love.
Yeah.
About the passage of time, growing older together or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
Which
let's
I thought
read,
the third one was about too, but I
let's
guess
read your poem quite
it's
again.
not.
And I will be discussing and dissecting it at length, Sadie style. What was it, a fucking Chevron? It took place in a fucking parking lot?
I tried to use a gas station that you would think I wouldn't use.
Hess, on a road in Wisconsin. Read me the cigarette line, because you did steal
Yeah.
it. I honestly think it's plagiarism. I feel like what you did was illegal.
It's funny because I did steal cigarette, but not from that poem. It was from a different one that I was reading when I was trying to.
But that one also had cigarette in a parking lot, like the cancer.
Yeah, it was cigarette in the car, in the
Yeah.
cornfields.
Yeah.
Embers of your cigarette in the dark. So what I tried to go for
And it's called The
was
Last Leaf of Autumn.
Autumn's Long Past.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seasons.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Classic
Actually,
theme.
Autumn's from when I was in high school. That
Okay.
was what I was pulling from.
Okay.
Some of it was random, but then some of it was I tried to make personal. So I think that's where I maybe got tripped up.
Let's start from the top, actually.
Jewelweed and Hawk Song.
Jewelweed?
Jewelweed. That's my sister's nickname.
Okay.
Okay.
Hawk Song is...
We just like hawks.
Got it.
So kind of just like me and my sister
You're
hanging
setting the
out,
stage,
setting
yeah.
the stage. Chevron parking lot in the gloaming. I just like
Just seeing a distanced
Yeah.
a gas station that's still lit while everything else is dark.
yeah,
around it.
you know, like
Yeah.
a ghostly gas station
A
as
nice,
the light
like,
fade,
yeah, oil
post
on campus.
sunset, but
yeah.
before it's dark.
Goose sunset, what is that?
Goose summer is something I found out yesterday from Emily, which is kind of when the summer lasts until the fall.
Goose.
Yeah, they call it a goose summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of just thinking about autumn, but like that one more warm
Exactly.
day.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's 81 degrees
Yeah.
in October.
80 in October.
Right.
I could have called it 80 in October.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's too much similar to right now.
Well, that would have been nice though.
Yeah.
Anything else you have? Oh, I had the line a rabbit cage in the potting shed. Before I had the wood stove in the potting shed.
But you're like,
what
this
would
is
you
too
have-
obvious.
Yeah, I was like, wood stove?
Yeah.
He's going to call my ass out. So I came up with a really random thing.
Which is
rabbit cage.
Yeah.
But no.
Unrelated to anything.
Because
about
really
you.
what tipped it was the cigarettes.
What was the line? Cigarette line?
Embers of your cigarette in the dark.
Embers of your cigarette in the dark. Yeah, that feels like kind of just like a generic poem line.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. This was actually this is probably the one line from the first pass that lasted.
And then how does it end?
Heads turned as shadows grow longer, reaching. That's death coming for everybody.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like the idea of shadows growing longer as the sun is setting.
Yeah.
Have you ever written a poem? Because you really like poetry. Have you ever taken a stab at it yourself?
I've written,
Beyond that?
yes, one poem.
Not just that.
Yeah. I wrote a real poem.
What are you calling this one?
That's horse shit.
You fucking
I
called
forwarded
it out.
that out. It only took me like 8 hours yesterday.
I painted it. Emma, did you like that? You're a poetry appreciator. What were your thoughts when he was reading it? Were you thinking critically?
I didn't know which one was yours, to be fair.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. High compliment. Did you like that first one?
That's fine.
Shampoo didn't speak to you?
It was okay.
Yeah, I'm more of a 2-in-1 conditioner kind of
That is
guy.
incredible.
Way in below, Sadie versus Autumnal Leaf in a parking lot.
Autumn's long past. Autumn's long past.
I should have known. I should have known with more conviction.
Yeah.
I mean, the segment is gold.
Right. One
We
of
have
us
to go
has
into
to get
win.
the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you were a little more certain because you got a keen eye towards real poems versus nah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm like, these all sound vaguely in the same realm.
Yeah. I feel like the deduction for yours was like I tipped my hand with the first one.
Yeah.
And then the second one was too long.
Too long,
And
yeah.
for yours, I was like moved by the first one, and then the other one was a haiku. And I was like, you wouldn't have done a haiku, not for this segment.
Yeah. I feel like the shorter it is, the more easy it is to fool. Like if I came up with a haiku and read 3 other haikus, you wouldn't necessarily know.
Definitely.
But the more I talk, the more I give away.
Yeah.
It's like when you're examining someone and you think they're lying, you want them to keep talking.
Right.
Because they'll eventually trip over
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
That's why for you to write that second one, I'm like, this is so long for you to like keep going on and on.
Yeah.
And you love that one, the Gertrude Stein one?
Yeah, that's a great one.
That one's also about just getting older.
Yeah. You release the hand, you relax the animal. Very cool.
And Goose Summer. Oh, wait, no, that was the one I
Oh,
wrote.
that was my beautiful shit.
They're all starting to blend together. Actually, write this down. Magical tapestry weaving on a loom. In, out, in, out.
It's all about cigarettes and empty parking lots.
Poets love
Gardens,
seasons,
rivers.
and cigarettes.
Maybe I'll try to write a Mary Oliver poem.
That's cool. I don't know who that is.
Really?
Yeah.
She's one of the most famous poets.
Okay, let's start
do
with the
poem.
poetry. Let's
Will
start with the
I
poetry.
be able to see by reading it?
You can read it, but ideally you won't. But
My eyes are done.
okay, it looks like 3 seemingly identical poems.
Oh, then I can look.
You can look.
Can I read one?
You want to read them all?
No. We go
Okay,
back
I'll
and
read
forth.
them. All right,
Can I look?
you can look. This first one is called "The Funeral of a Friend's Son" by Anne Pabst.
Ooh,
That's
that
right. I
last
made
name.
fake names, or they're the actual names of the poems.
That's risky, because don't I just know that Anne Pabst is a poet?
Do you?
Jake, while you're doing this, are you thinking about how much time is left in the episode till you're done?
There's no way.
No, sometimes I'll glance over at the clock. I'll text somebody and I'll be
Glance,
like,
but, like,
yeah, no, we're
barely.
This
still
is going to be 10, 15 minutes. We're at 11 minutes already.
Still
We haven't
doing
gotten to the
this
first
dumb
of 3
show.
poems.
Well, you've been known to sort of delay/derail podcasts that you're on.
Go.
Ready? The Funeral of a Friend's Son by Anne Pabst. Ready, Jake?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Through worn, chewed church pews poured grief. It coursed and rushed unmoored.
No way is it
As
true.
if from mountains sent, as if from a deep voice of the Old Testament.
Oh, wait. It may be.
We stood, knelt, prayed, sang, offered words of comfort. Even certainty, we mourners in black, full of holy effort. Our hands and faces, punctuations of light, candles lit, the torn, stained hems of our understanding hung under smooth coats. Okay, that's poem 1.
No fucking way. You did not write that. I was moved. If you did write it, I commend you. Congratulations. That's an incredible
Okay, do the
poem.
second one.
I don't think you did.
Poem 2 is called
Okay.
Ha-un. It's a Korean name. H-A, then E-U-N. By H.E. Kim. Ready?
Yeah, you're trying to dupe me with this one, I think. Let's see what happens.
Tap as Harrison hopscotched across kindergarten chalk towers. Clap as Harry graduates, now dancing across a stage in gowns and hats. Disguised symbolically at first, then veiling historically, Ha-un sits now to mourn Ha-un, then Harrison, then Harry.
See, now this one, it doesn't. I think there's a chance that this could be Amir, but I think also he
Knock
probably
it off,
picked
Dingo.
something.
Sorry.
Dingo wants to weigh in. Okay. Did
Dingo
you hear that whole
loved
poem?
Ha-un. Yeah, but I kind of want you to read the last verse just because I couldn't tell if it was
symbolically
poignant.
at first, then veiling historically. Ha-un sits now to mourn Ha-un, then Harrison, then Harry.
Okay.
potential.
It,
Last one.
cryptic. Okay, yeah.
The Piece of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. This one's in italics. I should say, I don't know why. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe the website did it. Maybe I did it. Hell, I could have fucking wrote this one.
Yeah. Well, I do know that Wendell Berry is a famous poet.
Is that true?
Yes.
I
Wendell
come
Berry is
into
a
Would you
famous
have
poet.
changed one of yours to a famous person's name? Would you do that?
one or all of these names or titles could have been altered, but yeah. Whether I wrote the poem or not is still up for grabs.
Okay.
The Piece of Wild Things by Wendell Berry.
How do you know it's Wendell? Wouldn't you say Wendell?
Wendell.
It's Wendell. Yeah.
I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water. You love this one.
No, it's just that.
And I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
Okay, Amir is either the second one or the third one.
And Jake said Wendell Berry is a poet.
Yeah, but also
Yes.
Wendell. Whoever says Wendell?
I
Like
think-
Mr.
right.
Wendell.
Maybe I took the name and I don't know how to pronounce it. I mean, I don't know how to pronounce Ha'un either.
You nailed it perfectly.
Think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
But
So,
there's
wait,
also
but
the
if-
first one.
I gotta go here.
The
'cause you
first-
said I gotta get close to you.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought the first one was beautiful. So if
I
you
don't-
wrote that, I think that's amazing, and
I don't
I would
think- I don't think
happily
it's
be
him.
wrong.
Okay.
The mountain sounds from deep. From
and
the
I
Old,
think
although Old
the-
Testament is very Amirish. We stood and
I'll tell you what,
saying offered words of comfort.
Wendell Berry says the day blind stars. Is that what he says?
In that last poem, you mean?
Yeah. Is that a phrase that he uses?
I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars.
No chance. That's gorgeous. You didn't write that. I think you wrote the then Harry, then Harrison thing, which was
That one
cryptic,
does
but I
feel
think
a
for
little less-
cryptic's sake, I didn't feel touched by it.
Wait, let me see. Let me read the second one. Tapas Harrison, hopscotch across. I mean, it definitely feels like the least lived in. Kindergarten, chalk towers. Clappus Harry graduates now dancing across the stage and it feels like a child, but
Yeah.
I think you pick one that feels
It's
like a
also
child.
it's
Disguised
it's
symbolic
school.
at first and veiling
It's
historically.
school. It's fucking, this kid loves school.
That one.
It's school
It's gotta be
based.
that one. It's got to be that one.
So Jake's saying the second one. You're also double downing and saying the second one?
Yeah.
Well, you get so excited that I don't feel like it is now.
I'm just asking if you think it's the second
You're
one.
so
Jake
excited.
is for sure saying two. Are you saying two as well? Ben is reading now in tears the idea of griefing through chewed church pews unmoored.
Yeah. I mean, if you wrote that one, I'll be so impressed. I think it's like I think it should be published somewhere.
Come to the presence of still water, and I feel above the day blind. Day blind start. I
Tell
feel
me,
like
did you like
Wait,
when
wait,
you wrote
Jake, I
this?
think
Did
this
you
is what he
try?
did. I think what he did is he looked at other poems and he grabbed pieces of them to make his own.
If you like hacksaw together a plagiarized Wendell Berry
did
poem, I
not.
don't think that. All right,
did
good.
I mean, the easy answer is two, but I can't tell if you're so smart you make one feel like it could be you.
Anything is possible.
Okay, can we erase one?
Yeah, you guys can delete
Okay.
one by one.
Jake, let's erase one. You think the first one is definitely not him, correct?
I think it's definitely not him.
Okay,
and I'd
we
be
say the first one is
amazed.
definitely not you.
The Funeral of a Friend's Son is, in fact, by Anne Pabst. You guys are right. I
there we
did
go.
not write that one.
Great. Okay, well, I mean, it's
Okay.
obviously Haun, but let's...
I had such high hopes. I wanted you
such
to say that you
high
wrote it.
Also, I think he would make like a person of Asian descent, so like it would make you feel like it couldn't be this like very
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, like
Jewish
it wouldn't
guy.
be about a guy named Amir.
And also,
And I mean, I
be
know
too
that Wendell Berry is a
obvious.
poet. I know this. I believe I've read that poem before. That Wendell Berry, that exact one.
Come to
I
the
had a
piece of
book of Wendell Berry's
Cast
poems.
our lives with forth.
So Jake's saying it's definitely two.
Me the day. Yeah, but the way you're saying it.
Don't worry about
All right,
the
I'm
game.
gonna
trying to
two,
fuck
two,
with
two,
you.
two. I don't think you could. I think you could write two.
That third poem, The Piece of Wild Things, is indeed by Wendell Berry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote the second
The
one.
bad one?
Ha'un, for sure. For sure I wrote Ha'un.
Now that we know that you wrote it, read that
it
again.
Oh, now. Yeah, now let's pick it apart.
I'll read it.
You know what?
Ready?
It actually was written
Here we
by
go, here we go.
H.E. Kim.
No, it wasn't.
And
Ready?
he was him.
Tap, tap. as Harrison hopscotched across kindergarten chalk towers.
So that's really beautiful, actually.
Clap as Harry graduates, now dancing across the stage in gowns and hats.
Instead of cap and gowns.
Disguised symbolically at first, then veiling historically. Ha-un sits now to mourn Ha-un, then Harrison, then Harry.
It's actually better than I thought. I have enough distance from it now to appreciate the poem as if somebody else wrote it.
It's not bad, but I'll tell you the disguised at first, I think that is a little clunky. That was the line that I was like, no, that didn't feel right.
He said it's Ha-un by a man named Hee Kim.
Yeah. I mean, better than my first attempt, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still hard to write poetry having not read a lot of
Are
poems.
we doing one more thing, or that's it?
That's our segment. That's this segment.
Then what happens for the rest of the show?
All right, you wanted to start with another rousing game of poetry or noetry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead.
So far, I've had 2 poems you sniffed out. One was Sadie, the other one was Ha-un.
Right. And I've had one poem that you sniffed out. I forget the name of it, but it was something like Last Gasp of Summer or something. Last Leaf.
Yeah, there was something about a new phrase. It's like when summer lasts too long, and you had just learned it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I already forgot it, actually. Oh, Goose Summer. One
Goose
last
Summer.
Goose Summer. That's
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Okay, so the twist on this one
Yeah.
is that I found a real poem. I wrote a poem, and I also coached ChatGPT into writing a poem.
Okay.
So this is between a poet, me, and AI.
Yeah.
I think you should try to assign the best. You're trying to guess which one I wrote, but it'd be really cool if you could guess all of them. If you
3
could
for
assign the
3,
writer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be pretty impressive. I'd also like to hear you rank them just in terms of which ones you like. Even if you think that, like for instance, you sniffed out the Goose Summer one.
Yeah.
But that you didn't ever say if you liked it more than any of the other ones that I wrote.
I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That I read, I meant to say.
Yeah, that's
not that I wrote.
why I had it as pegged as yours, because it wasn't that good.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So this
And in
one
terms
is called
of Ha-un.
Ha-un.
Then Harry.
Ha-un danced across the stage.
You
then
still
Harrison,
remember it.
then Harry. It is pretty iconic. I don't think it was a bad poem. I just knew it was you. Okay.
All right, try to rank Ha-un, then Harry, then Harrison.
This one is called The Quiet Sanctuary of the Woods.
Okay.
Okay.
The quiet sanctuary of the woods.
Yeah. In the quiet sanctuary of the woods, where sunlight weaves through leaves like threads of introspection, a subtle hum of cancer disrupts the natural cadence. Amidst the rustling leaves and the distant calls of unseen creatures, the body's silent struggle unfolds, a delicate dance between vulnerability and resilience. In these wooded realms, where Mary Oliver's spirit lingers, one finds solace in the intricate tapestry of life and within the unexpected challenges and profound truth. The strength to endure lies within the quietude of the forest's embrace.
All right, that one has AI vibes.
Yeah, for sure. But couldn't
Like
they
you
all?
coached it to have something to do with cancer, because I remember that was one of your buzzwords. So one of the poems I read, it said something about lung cancer or some shit. Okay.
Yeah, the crop circles, the cancer,
exactly,
the coffee.
yeah. Okay, so that one has AI vibes, but I'm not ready to commit quite yet.
Yeah.
The Mary Shelley
Okay.
thing kind of threw me off.
Right. Okay. This one is called
She wrote
The Swan.
Frankenstein?
No, Mary Oliver. It says Mary Oliver. I don't know who Mary Shelley is.
Okay.
Okay. The Swan. Did you see it drifting all night on the black river? Did you see it in the morning, rising into the silvery air? An armful of white blossoms, a perfect commotion of silk and linen as it leaned. Into the bondage of its wings, a snowbank, a bank of lilies, biting the air with its black beak. Did you hear it, fluting and whistling? A shrill, dark music like the rain pelting the trees, like a waterfall knifing down the black ledges. And did you see it, finally, just under the clouds, a white cross streaming across the sky, its feet like black leaves, its wings
like the stretching light of the river? And did you feel it in your heart, how it pertained to everything? And have you too finally figured out what beauty is for? And have you changed your life?
Jesus. That was a lot of metaphors, a lot of questions. Like this, that, and the other, like linen, like a cross. Have you done it? Have you seen it? Have you changed your life? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It was
Right.
pretty good, actually.
You liked it.
That one didn't feel like something you wrote. Like, why? How would you come up with fucking swans in a sky? And the questions, I don't know. It felt very unique.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Thank you.
Okay.
I mean,
so
for
right
sure.
now I'm getting AI vibes from the first, real poet vibes from the second. And now let's read this one, which is what, about fucking mac
This
and
one is
cheese or
called
some shit.
Ha'un Continued.
Hot tune. The sequel.
Harrison walks his girlfriend down the aisle.
Harrison walks in on Harry jerking it.
This one is called The Poem.
The poem.
The Poem.
Okay, yeah. Really feels like you so far, but
So
continue.
far.
Yeah.
I'm sad, so I write a poem. Happily, I compose a poem. Out of boredom, I return to my unfinished poem. Sun, rain, sun shower, light breaking through the pages. Atomic daybreak. The neighbors rise, they walk to work. I sit, thinking of the last line. Then it comes to me.
Okay. Clever. Almost comedic. I mean, my initial hunch is AI real you. I guess there's a chance the AI is writing one about writing a poem, like a poem about a poem is like what the prompt you gave it. I will say it's very subtle, the differences. It's like a color blindness test where I'm like, I think that one's green and that one's brown, but like it's getting really similar.
Are you talking about just the AI and the last, like, are you talking about AI and me, or are you thinking all three poems are very similar?
All three poems are like different shades of gray to me. Like one doesn't stand out. Like when I read a good one to you and you're like, that one made me cry, I know that one's real. I don't have that.
I couldn't disagree more, because there was one poem that I was reading and I was like shaking a little bit and I had goosebumps. So I know that my poem is dog shit, and the other one is amazing.
I'm poem blind. I don't know how else to tell
Yeah.
you this. I'm poem blind. I don't get it. I don't understand. I can't sniff them out.
All right.
But maybe deep within me as a human, I can figure it out. And the hunches that I'm receiving, actually write this down poem-wise, the hunches that I receive
Ooh, I
so
love that.
deep down
The hunches
are resonating.
Ha'uns received so deep ha'un.
My favorite part of this game is how uncertain we are that one of us wrote the poem, and then once we're sure, it's like, let's read it again now that I fucking know.
Yeah. Now that I know you're a loser and you spent time trying to write
You
cryptic
should tell me
sentences.
the wrong one now, just so that when we dissect it, it's like, actually, that one was the real poem. Okay.
Yeah.
The last one felt simple in a way that I think it was either you or the AI. The first one, remind me, was not the swan one.
It was the quiet solitude of the forest.
Yeah.
Or the
That
quiet
was like about
sanctuary of the
cancer,
woods.
Yeah.
Cancer
I'll go.
creeping in the
Yeah,
body.
I think I'm going to stick with my hunch. That one just felt like this is what a poem is according to an algorithm. Light going through leaves, and the guy have cancer too, and Mary Shelley's here for some fucking reason.
Yeah. So that was AI. I coached it to write in the style of Mary Oliver, who is one of my favorite poets.
So that one, I was
who-
correct about that.
That is correct. That is AI. And instead of writing in Mary Oliver's style, well, I guess they kind of did, because, you know, she writes about nature a lot. But he just name drops her, which isn't ideal. I hadn't read that part. When I read that, my heart sank. I was like, this is a bad poem, ChatGPT. You did a bad job. So yeah, I did try to get the ChatGPT to write a poem. I believe I said about cancer and the changing of seasons in the style of Mary Oliver.
Got it. So I was in on that hunch. That was
Right.
correct. And now it's down to the last two. One of them is just like, I can't imagine you wrote this one about swans flying and have you done this and have you done that. And then the last one's a cheeky little, ooh, I'm going to write a poem. This is funny.
Right.
And now I sit to write the last line. Real fucking clever. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really clever. I wonder if I wrote it or if a poet wrote it. There's only one way to find out.
I think I'm going to stick with my original hunch. You wrote the last one. A real poet wrote the storks one.
That is correct. Mary Oliver herself wrote The Swan, an incredibly moving poem. And I farted out the poem just before we started to record.
A poem about a poem. And yes, we will
right.
start from the top. What was the first line?
I'm
Some fucking
sad,
shit
so I write a
being
poem.
Sad.
Yeah. You know,
Okay,
this
keep
one
going.
it's not a bad poem. It's not perfect, but I
No.
think it's not bad. I'm sad, so I write a poem.
It harkened me to like a middling poem in like Where the Sidewalk Ends.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty solid for my second ever poem.
For Shel Silverstein, yeah, like that guy
yeah,
worked all year
he
on
did pretty
something that
good.
sounds like what you farted out in a fucking waiting room. All right, let's hear
I'm
it
sad,
again.
so I write a poem.
Yeah.
Happily, I compose a poem. Out of boredom, I return to my unfinished poem. Sun, rain, sun shower, light breaking through the pages. Now that was where I started to get a little artsy about it, you know?
Light breaking through the pages is good.
Yeah.
The first
because I'm
ones
kinda
are just like,
you know,
yeah.
rain or shine, but then I'm like, how do I make it a little weirder?
Yeah.
You know, rain, sun, and then I added the sun shower thing.
Yeah.
Which I thought might trip you up because I don't know any time you've ever heard me say sun shower. But I guess,
But
it
just
didn't.
weather in general is a go-to for us.
I liked the next line, which is just atomic daybreak, but it doesn't really make sense in this poem, and I feel like that also might have tipped my hand because it definitely speaks to my spirit.
Yes.
The neighbors rise, they walk to work. Tell me if you think my previous iteration was the baker rises before the dawn.
That sounds like a song or like a dark night. The night is darkest before the dawn or something.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm glad I changed it.
Again, I still knew who your poem was, but yeah.
Yeah. The neighbors rise, they walk to work. I sit thinking of the last line, then it comes to me.
Yeah.
I mean, what a sweet little twist at the end. A smirk, a smile, a gleam in your eye, a cheeky little tear rolls down your face.
Stick the
isn't that
bic
what
in my
poetry's
ass
about?
and I sit on a desk to write this shit out. And it goes a little something like poem. I'm writing a poem.
Yeah,
Every day I sit and I
yeah.
think of a poem.
Okay. Huh.
And the second one is one you like, something about storks flying through the sky.
Yeah, Mary Oliver. Actually, one of her poems was read at my wedding. I almost wanted to read that one, but I thought you might have remembered it.
Oh, yeah. Probably not.
You probably wouldn't have, huh?
It's just so hard to come up with a poem that doesn't sound like something we would... Like, everything that comes from my brain is something that comes from my brain. I can't change it. It's like, all right, what about one about me walking? No, that's what you would think of. It's like, yeah, everything's one. I could have, in theory, just come up with one about storks, but I would never.
Right.
I don't know why.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I guess the best thing we could do is probably just plagiarize and change everything just a little bit.
Yeah, but that's not in the spirit of the game. I want to come up with a poem that's so originally un-me. But then is that
and that's
good
what you
either?
tried
Do
to
I
do
want
with
something that's
Haoon.
so
You
not
tried to do it with
personal to
Haoon,
me?
but we knew it because then you dipped into school by accident. You love math and school. It'll always come out. And me, I like weather. I'm obsessed with the sun.
And the seasons and the fucking bakers and the candlestick makers.
Always. We have to come up with, we have to write a poem that not a single one of the lines is true to us. That's how you write poetry.
That's like the worst thing a poet teacher can tell you. It's like, all right, what's completely unnatural to you, and dig into that.
How can you be your most inauthentic self?
Write a poem as somebody else. Don't be yourself. Be somebody
Try
else
to
who's good
fool
at
everyone.
poetry. All right. 0 for 4. The game continues.
The game continues. Has to be the most classic, fan favorite, could be its own podcast, Poetry or Noetry?
Yes, poetry or noetry,
You've
aka
written a poem.
poetry or nah. Yeah. This one was sort of. I'm gonna make it a little different because my buddy Jesse, who listens to the show, sent me a poem and it's like, this one is a famous poem about Los Angeles. I feel like it's not that good. You could have written it. I'm like, oh, well, that's sort of an insult, but thank you, I guess. And so I
Interesting.
found 3 poems about LA. One of them I wrote, and the other 2 are real poems about Los Angeles. So these are all of the certain theme.
I do love poems on a theme. Let me ask you, is the one that Jesse sent you part of this, or is that?
Yes, it is. It's also
Okay.
a poem about LA.
All right, so it's famous. You're not afraid that I might know it? I know some poems.
You know some poems, but I think this one was like, by an LA poet laureate. It wouldn't have like reached your national sphere.
All right, got it.
So these are 3 poems about LA. One of them I wrote. The other 2 are, I guess, real poems or whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this sort of bypasses the whole, like, I can tell you wrote this one because why else would you write about this? This is like,
Right.
we're
It's
all writing about
LA.
LA. Yeah.
That's smart. That's pretty smart. But let's see if that narrow focus almost shows your hand, because I know what you'd write about LA. So
Shit.
This
Shaq
is-
to
this is also
Kobe, an
your-
alley-oop for the ages.
this is your third poem. Is that correct?
Yes.
The third poem you've written.
We had Ha-Un.
We had Sadie. We had Ha-Un.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
I mean,
then
at
you
this
did
point,
2, right? You did 2 as well.
Yeah, I forget what mine. Wait, did I do 2? I guess I. Oh yeah, I did do 2, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did 2.
Honestly,
One
I
was
don't
like
even remember.
a parking lot, and yours was
Yeah, the
so
parking
bad
lot
I
and the
honestly
gloaming.
don't even remember.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember the second one.
I'm serious.
Oh, it was the Mary Oliver one? But okay. Anyway, yeah. Got it.
Maybe like washing your child or something.
Oh no!
a
It was talking about how you write. No, the bath one was, I think, a real poem that made me cry initially.
Yes.
That one was the all of these things happen, but I'm still writing the poem. It's a poem about poetry writing.
Yes, I remember. We should also say we've not gotten the other one wrong. Like, we've always sniffed
Yeah.
out the poem.
Right, that's true. And I don't know if that's because we suck at poetry or we're just good at knowing each other.
Yes.
It might be both. It might be
Yes.
that I know how much you suck at poetry and vice versa. But let's hear these 3 LA-based poems.
Okay. Let me pull them up now. Keep in mind, they are 3 good poems. One of them I did read. That's fine. That's good, actually. I wrote them, one of them. Maybe this one. Fuck. It probably is this one.
Oh God, you're trying to duke me out with just read the poem.
Okay. I love LA. I can't forget its smells. I love to make love in LA. It's a great city, a city without a handle. The world's most mixed metropolis of intolerance and divisions. How I love it, how I hate it. Zoot suit riots, can't stay away. City of hungers, city of angers. Ruben Salazar, Rodney King. I'd like to kick its face in. Bone City, dried blood on walls, wildfires, taunting dove wails, car fumes and oil derricks, water thievery with every industry possible, and still a, quote, one industry town, lined by those majestic palm trees, and like its people with solid roots, supple trunks, resilient.
Okay, not you. Next.
How little we do deceive, or much do I deceive.
When I heard division, I thought there was a chance.
Because
I thought you might have snuck some math in.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't that you wouldn't have the gall to put Rodney King's name in there. It's not that I don't think you know who Ruben Salazar is. It's because I did get the chills at the very, very last line. Solid trunks and resilient, and you can't do that to me. Let's see the other 2 poems.
Traipsing wearily. You already know it's me. Traipsing. Yours next. I
This
didn't
is
even
traipsing,
start.
except for a guy trying to pull one over on me about poems.
Traipsing wearily where Juan Baptiste Alvarado carved. Errant sermons echo into the San Gabriel. Now cars pulse down the highway path, lifeblood of the city measured in fuel. Zipping down sinewy side streets past taco stands that stood before the locals. Now I stand before the locals, neighbors in hoods pieced together like a quilt, shuffled together to create the city of angels and king.
And king?
One singular king.
City of Angels and King. I'm not going to lie. I think this one could be you just because I thought it was a little scattered. I didn't think there was a lot of good poetry language in there, but I don't think any of it had a purpose. So it might be you, but it might also just be a poem that I didn't respond to. Let's
go number 3.
Number 3.
The angels here have pigeons' wings. Blue collars, washed in sweat, the common salt in tears, tongues swirl in a stew of cultures, singing asphalt songs in the midst of seagulls. Bebop atop the San Andreas.
The second one is you. The second one is you. This one's also moving me.
It's true. The second one was me. You got it right away. I didn't even finish this one.
This one's good.
Why?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I can't even quantify it. I can't understand it. It's just obviously good.
My heart was aflutter as you're reading the third one. I felt nothing during yours.
The streets, the taco stands, it didn't resonate with you, but this one did.
Yeah, I just think that each line of your poem was a reaction to the one line before. So it wasn't like, there wasn't a through line. It was like, here's the line, here's the response. Here's the line, here's the response.
Yeah.
There was no poem. You tossed in quilt to make it.
Yeah, quilt.
Sinewy
City
side
of
streets.
And Kings.
You threw in some random prose there.
Yeah.
The alliteration.
Sometimes I'll just like delete half of a line to make it sound more poetic. Like, traipsing where he carved. I had like carved into the mountains, and I'm like, let me just cut into the mountains. So it's just as traipsing where he carved.
Yeah, which it's. I mean, I don't think that's a bad way to write a poem. It's kind of interesting. It could be your style,
but it's not a real poem.
Let's finish the third poem.
It was almost.
These
over.
ones have names.
This one is actually just called Los Angeles.
Okay.
In the midst of seagulls, Bebop atop the San Andreas, a humble plate of beings.
Yeah.
If I finished it, you would have guessed me.
Right. Bebop atop. No, a humble plate of beings is a very, very like gorgeous way to describe all of the humans living in LA, like on a fault line, on a tectonic plate that can come crashing down at any second. I mean, that's really beautiful stuff.
Somebody named Kamau Daoud.
And what was the first one called? And who's it by?
First one is the one that Jesse sent me that was like, you could have written this. Evidently not, Jesse. Joke's on you. I'm actually not good enough to write that. It's by the Poet Laureate of LA, or at least that's what he calls himself. Let me find his name.
Poet Laureate, that should be me. I've written a poem about LA at this point.
I could at the very least be the Poet Laureate of Silver Lake. Luis J. Rodriguez.
Okay. And what did you say it was called?
It was like a love letter to LA. I don't know if there's
a... Does yours
Oh,
have
yeah,
a name?
love poem to Los Angeles. Well, my name now sucks considering you fucking guessed it right off the bat.
Traipsing where he carved?
It's farting around town. The Night Diary of Amir Valerie Blumenqueef. Okay. But I didn't want to read that.
Since you lost, you have to read it again. I think that's the only thing that you get if you win this game is that you don't have to reread your poem.
I'm 0 for 3, you're 0 for 2. We're not even fucking close.
Yeah.
And you knew this one right away.
Yeah, this one I sniffed out.
And I tried to veil it with 2 other poems about LA.
All right, let's hear traipsing where he carved, farting around town, the night diary of Amir Valerie Blumenfeld.
Traipsing wearily where Juan Baptiste Alvarado carved. Errant sermons echo into the San Gabriels. That's mountain range here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now cars pulse down the highway path, kind of like, blood flowing through veins or whatever.
Right.
Lifeblood of the city measured in fuel. So it's like, instead of blood, it's gasoline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's good.
Zipping down sinewy side streets.
Now we're losing it a little bit. You're a little too focused on the cars. It's not about LA. It's about traffic.
Yeah, I didn't ask for your notes.
Yeah. Just offering them for free.
Yeah. Past taco stands that stood before the locals. Now I stand before the locals. Kind of a double entendre.
Right.
A little
I
too
could tell you were
clever.
proud of yourself about that. Like that was some authorial intrusion. That was the poet inserting themselves in the poem.
Which is
that
fine,
wasn't about LA.
actually
That was
good.
about you. That was about Blumenfeld. All right. Anything else?
Neighbors in hoods, kind of like neighborhoods. Neighbors in hoods pieced together like a quilt. Okay.
Yeah. That
Shuffle
was a filler
together.
line that you didn't
Shuffle
go back
together
Yeah,
to create
excuse
the
me.
city of angels and king. Because I wrote City of Angels, and I'm like, okay, that's obviously too on the nose.
Yeah.
Angels and kings? Okay, that doesn't really mean anything. Angels and king? Oh, maybe this is about somebody that he doesn't know.
Yeah. It was an interesting
I hate it.
feint.
I hate it.
Yeah.
It's not
I'm
a
gonna
good
do this.
fucking
I'll do this
poem.
next week, and I'll do it for New York,
Yeah.
and I'll be fucking good at it.
Not like you with the fucking tacos. What was that? What's a taco
I
stand?
stand before the locals, neighbors in hoods, sinewy side streets measured in fuel, and king.
And king. God damn
Wow.
you.
Yeah,
All right. Good job, you, I guess.
good stuff.
All right, we're back. Yo, we got another repost.
Another
People are
repost.
signal. Those are.
Yes.
I think you're discounting how many times people reposting helps you.
Yeah,
You should be thinking for the next tweet. Obviously, this one's not going to hit 100. We get that.
It might.
This is dead
it
on
really
the line.
might. No, it's not.
You want something that people will signal boost for you,
Yeah,
which is half the name of the game, but it's tough.
right. And people want to play fuck, marry, kill, murder, marriage, and sex. People are having a fun time. They're having a ball just looking at this tweet.
Actually, I have a good recommendation, but it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag Galentine's Day.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
Maybe even
yeah.
hashtag belated Galentine's
Yeah,
Day. Or
right.
happy hashtag belated Galentine's Day.
Yeah, that puts it in some other feeds.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's interesting. That's funny. That's silly.
I could retweet it with a hashtag. You know?
You can't because you already quote retweeted.
So I mean,
you already
re-zed it.
reposted.
Can I re-zed it?
You re-ex posted it. All right. Okay, you have a poem.
I have a poem. I've got 3 poems to read.
Okay. So this is another classic poetry or noetry. I'm 0 for 3. You're 0 for 2?
Yes.
This is your third poem.
Yes, my third poem.
Okay.
And neither of us have ever won this game.
No.
These poems, though, are all by me. So,
Wait, what?
okay.
I can't lose. So where did you find the 2 quote unquote real ones?
One sent to me by a friend. Another, I saw it recently on Poems a Day, Poem a Day. I think it's from the website poets.org.
Okay.
And loved it. And the other just came to me the same way. Fuck, marry, kill, murder,
Fuck,
marriage,
marry,
and
kill. How do I love you? Let me count the murder. Okay.
All right, so which one do you want to hear first? The one I wrote or the one other
Let's
people
do
wrote?
yours first.
Okay.
You would love that, wouldn't you?
Do you want to know the titles?
Let's start with the first poem and the first title, but don't give me all 3 titles all at once.
Okay. The moon rose over the bay. I had a lot of feelings.
This is, you're going right into it. You're going right into it with no feeling at all.
That's the name of the poem.
Oh, okay. What's it called?
The moon rose over the bay. I had a lot of feelings.
That's the title?
That's the title.
Okay. What do you think so far, Casey? Feels kind of involved for a title.
I like it.
I am taken with the hot animal of my skin, grateful to swing my limbs and have them move as I intend, though my knee, though my shoulder, though something is torn or tearing. Today, a dozen squid dead on the harbor beach, one mostly buried, one with skin empty as a shell and hollow feeling. And though the tentacles look soft, I do not touch them. I imagine they were startled to find themselves in the sun. I imagine the tide simply went out without them. I imagine they cannot feel the black flies charting the raised hills of their eyes. I write my name in the sand. Donica Kelly.
Danica Patrick.
I watch 18 seagulls skim the sandbar and lift low in the sky. I pick up a pebble that looks like a green egg. To the ditch lily, I say I am in love. To the Jeep parked haphazardly on the narrow street, I am in love. To the roses, white petals rimmed brown. To the yellow-lined pavement, to the house trimmed in gold, I am in love. I shout with the rough calculus of walking. Just let me find my way back. Let me move like a tide come in.
Okay.
Okay. Did you love it?
That one was, I'm 99% sure, not you.
Not you. Why?
Because, well, now I'm 100% sure because you're really defensive about it.
You think I couldn't come up with that?
I thought it was too long and intricate, involved, and about a woman in love, and used certain languages that you would never use.
I see.
And you were sort of getting choked up about it.
I wasn't getting choked up. It was just long and I was taking a breath.
Okay. But, it's still in play. It's about, body stuff, which you are always thinking about. It's the beach, which you like, and,
Right.
seeing things on Nantucket or whatever. So.
This one is called February.
February made me shiver. Can we get a refresh real quick? Wow.
54. I was doing 55 and a 54. Dull buzz or sharp ache. Longing for belonging.
Yours. What's your
Really?
third?
Why?
Third one's called wine. No, sorry. Continue. February.
My name is Donica Kelly. Dull buzz or sharp ache. Longing for belonging or longing just for the longing. That nagging feeling, pulling, clawing, tearing, until you're breaking, bursting, yearning. Then you're running, charging, like a cow moose protecting its calf. Hooves pounding. Hooves pounding against the frozen earth as it trembles, crumbles. The grizzly stands down, scampers, humbled. Those days when everything is clicking.
This is awful.
When you smile at the stranger, when you think fondly of your neighbor. I wrote the Donica Kelly one.
I swear to fucking God, I have a gun.
The sun shines bright until it shines in your eyes.
Oh my God. I really hope this one isn't you. I want to have to respect you later.
Squinting, turning, then you're burning. Nothing good can last.
Is this a song?
And at last, all that's good comes to nothing. Then you're sitting, next you're lying, yearning, returning.
Let's hear the third poem.
It's moving. This one is called The Niagara River by Kay Ryan.
A lot of nature, a lot of winter, sort of all stuff you would also hearken to. So it's nice that you're muddying the waters a little bit.
As though the river were a floor, we position our table and chairs upon it, eat, and have conversation. As it moves along, we notice, as calmly as though dining room paintings were being replaced, the changing scenes along the shore. We do know this is the Niagara River, but it is hard to remember what that means.
Okay. First one, I'm solidified and eliminating. I'd be shocked if you wrote a really long poem about a woman in love like that.
Donica Kelly.
Yeah.
Yes, that poem is by Donica Kelly.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought having her name in there might trip you up.
Yes, exactly.
But you
Hot
knew
Loon
that I
style.
wasn't that smart.
Yeah, it just, for whatever reason, like names that we make up never sound real. They're always just like,
Yeah,
yeah. Like I could never come up with Donica Kelly.
right. I feel
Even
like I
though-
could.
You're right.
I could come up with
I would say
Donica
something
Kelly.
like Rachel Summers. And it's like, okay, that's obviously you.
Right.
Two equally random names.
Anyway, shout out to Donica Kelly. Incredible poem.
Yeah.
It's really
And it was
nice.
long too.
Yeah.
And like when it's really long, like it gives you ample opportunity to say something that I'm like, oh, that one's definitely you.
Yeah.
And that one just kept going and going and going.
Right. Yeah,
Never
yeah.
did I ever think it was you.
Did you like that poem?
I
Because
thought
it had some calculus. It had 18 seagulls. I thought you
Yeah.
might like some of the,
yeah.
the,
It didn't really move me, but I appreciated it as good, or at the very least, good enough that I know you didn't write it.
Right. Okay.
The second and third, I'm trying not to get tripped up by the fact that you were sort of crying and laughing reading the second one, which is like you were either moved by it and nervously giggling or laughing at the fact that you obviously wrote it and then I was figuring it out in real time. And it was called February, which is the month we're in.
That's true.
The third one is Niagara River, which is another thing you like. You like upstate New York chic shit. Like, oh, the river and the brooks and the fields and the forest and whatever.
Yeah.
The third one is sort of a nothing burger. I don't even remember any part of it right now.
Really?
It was like eating dinner on the bed and it's constantly changing. So, but a lot of poems I think are nothing burgers. So like that could have been a real poem.
Right.
Again, I'm thinking about the length of the poems too. The third one is a lot shorter than the second, right?
Yes. The third one is a short poem.
The second one also had a lot of the repeating stuff, like the yearning and blurning and herning, like
Yeah, it
that
was herning
style.
for sure.
Yeah. So now I'm trying to figure out. Can I ask you to read part of the second one again?
Of course.
The first stanza or two.
No problem. Dull buzz or sharp ache. Longing for belonging or longing just for the longing.
Yeah, like that. Why does this one rhyme and the second one? The third one does not at all. Now read the beginning of the third one.
As though the river were a floor, we position our table and chairs upon it.
That's pretty good. It's much better than longing for belonging or longing for the longing. But you also could have done like a sillier, rhymey one to throw me. But I have to choose.
You do.
I'm going to say, oh, wow. As soon as I'm like, you wrote the second one, I'm like, no, he wrote the riverbed one that's constantly changing. He loves the Niagara River.
So, but just to be clear, you're trying to figure out which, like what I would do.
Yeah.
You don't like either of these last two poems.
I thought the first one stood out above the rest.
Okay.
These second two are kind of more elementary.
Wow. I wrote the first one. Asshole.
That would be a great reveal. I'll say you wrote.
You stop. Let's get a refresh on this tweet.
Let's get a refresh. Under 69. Okay, 66. We're 2/3 of the way there. God. I'm like 51-49 trying to think of any, like, would you do the longing for belonging? Or is that like, no, I'm not going to make it rhyme because that's too obvious, but I'll give him the rhyming one. Also, you wrote the Niagara River one.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Niagara River. It is by K. Ryan.
No!
You loved February.
I laughed at it instantly and said you wrote
Only because
it.
I was laughing.
I said,
Only because I was laughing.
this one's you.
You were moved by it.
Longing for belonging.
Longing for belonging, or are you longing just to want something and you don't really know what it is? That's actually really beautiful if you think about it, which you're obviously not.
I second-guessed myself. All right, let's read it again. Wow, this is the first victory in poetry or noetry. Casey, did you have any inclination?
Inclination?
Yeah.
As to which one I liked?
Which one Jake wrote?
I was
And they can
leaning.
be the-
I was
they
leaning
can be the
February.
same answer.
Leaning
You could say,
February.
you know, you could like it and know which one I wrote. It's not
Wow.
mutually exclusive.
You got me. Okay, let's read it.
February
Yeah.
by Jake Hurwitz.
Nice.
Actually, you lost. Why don't you read it?
It was long, which is why I was like, maybe that one's not it.
I spent time writing it.
Yeah, you did.
I was the only way I'm gonna trick Amir is if I like kind of really try to write a poem.
When you said dull buzz or sharp ache, I'm like, this is yours because sharp ache.
Yeah.
You're constantly thinking about aches and pains.
Totally.
Longing for belonging or longing just for the longing. Wow. That nagging feeling, pulling, clawing, tearing. Now that I know it's yours, what was I thinking?
Gorgeous.
Until you're breaking, bursting, yearning, then you're running.
Ooh.
Charging like a cow moose?
This part I looked up.
Yeah. I think you also looked up an animal, the last one, or like what a certain word meant.
Right. Yeah. I was like, he won't think I would use the word cow moose. That doesn't. It sounds like I like left a word in there by accident.
All right, exactly. Why
Yeah.
cow moose?
Right, but
protecting its calf.
Yeah, a cow
Hooves-
moose is something that will protect its calf. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Hooves pounding against the frozen earth as it trembles, crumbles. The grizzly stands down, scampers, humbled. Wow. This rhymes.
It's kind of a slam poetry.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Those days when everything is clicking, when you smile at the stranger, when you think fondly of your neighbor.
Don't we all know that feeling?
The sun shines bright until it shines in your eyes.
Oh no.
If you read, that's obviously.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
that line's not great. I had to finish it last night because I knew we were going to do this segment.
It shines bright until it shines in your eyes. Yeah,
That's
then
not
it's
great.
really
Yeah,
bright.
yeah.
Squinting, turning, then you're burning.
That's
Nothing
kinda
good can last. And at last, all that's good comes to nothing.
Whoa, look at that turn.
Then
It's kind of
you're
a fuck, marry, kill, murder, marriage, sex.
It goes down to 12. Then you're sitting next to your lying, yearning, returning. There's a lot of rhymes in here. Was that a specific thing to throw me off, or you just found
No,
yourself...
I was just like, I'm just going to try to write a poem about something. And I was like, I was, you know, that feeling, that nagging feeling.
that awkward feeling when...
It's like when, I think it's like, it happens a lot in New York in the winter where you're just like, it's just like wanting and you don't really know what you want, but it's like,
Yearning, burning, and hurting?
that's the longing just for the longing. Friend.
Yes, but longing for belonging, too.
So I was like, I don't have anything, like I can't write Niagara River. So I'm just going to write what I'm feeling. And it was just feeling restless.
Yeah.
So I was like writing for the feeling that I wanted. I wanted that energy of the cow moose charging, breaking the frozen ground.
Cow moose is a type of moose or kind of cow?
It's I just Googled moose that charges.
Got it. And one of them was cow moose.
And yeah, it said cow moose are the ones that charge. And yeah, then I was like, well, it's kind of interesting, you know, comes full circle because, you know, sometimes things are good, but then they come back. And when they're bad, sometimes they're good. So it was like, yeah, the yearning returning. I think that's a really powerful final image, Casey. Casey?
Yeah.
Casey?
I agree. Yeah.
And you were laughing and sort of tearing up while reading it.
I was not moved. I was really embarrassed. I was laughing because I was shy and I thought it was bad as I was reading it out loud. It's very different when you're looking at it on a text document than when you're reading it out loud.
Presenting it as a poem to be like, do you guys like this?
So then it was pretty bad. I personally I was moved by Niagara River. I thought it was a great poem.
I thought that one was yours because it was shorter and then it was just about like a river, which you can easily speak to.
Totally.
Body of water.
Yeah.
Did you
Feels
try to
good to
find
win.
two poems that sounded like something you could write, or those were just two poems that were sent to you?
No, it was just that I liked that other one, and then this one was sent to me. But I was grateful as I read it. I was like, oh, Amir could, like, Niagara, that's where your character is from in Jake and Amir, Niagara Falls.
Right.
So I was like, he might think that that's
you wrote it.
Yeah. And then the other one where she mentions like aches and pains in her body, I was like, yeah, that's perfect because that's kind of me and like being in love. And I also thought it was like a little all over the place, but in a nice way. But, you know, it's like about the beach, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, Amir could think that I wrote that too. But yeah, February is... What is it about February that
it's the
makes
current
it
month?
an
I should have
award-winning
known.
poem? to you.
Actually, August.
What was your
would've been-
favorite part of February?
Yes, when I instantly said you wrote it, and my least favorite part is when I changed my mind at the end.
And what part of it moved you?
The cow moves. Imagine riding it off into the sunset.
The grizzly stands down. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Let's get a refresh on this tweet. 81.
I mean, that's the best you've done.
Yeah. Let's go to break, and we'll have one more segment.
I don't think so.
Yes, of course we'll have one more segment.
What are we at running time wise?
We've been rolling for 40 minutes.
That's only 40 minutes. That's pretty short. We tend to do these for at least 45.
Okay, I guess
Let's
if we
do
could
one
think
more
of-
segment.
Yeah, one more segment.
We'll have to.
Yeah, we have to.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. Wow, that was intense.
Ooh, yeah.
We cut out, but Avital and Jake yelled at each other for half an hour right now.
We had
I
a
won
falling
the
out.
fight.
Finally
that.
won something.
But let's play a new game that we've played before, but never with Avital. It's everybody's favorite. It's Poetry or Noetry. We need a theme song just for this.
We do.
do.
This is what the show is all about for me.
So
If I lose
far,
this too,
I've
I'll be
gotten
crushed.
Jake once. Jake's gotten me once.
Out of how many?
3, I believe. 3 attempts each. Avital's more of a poet than me. Sort of lands in the you sphere of things, Jake. So this is Avital's attempt at a real poem. Of course, as you guys know, Avital's going to read 3 poems. One of them she wrote. 2 of them are real poems. We're going to try to sniff it out.
Should I?
I'm nervous because I think I like the way Avital writes. I remember her vows at your wedding were very beautiful. And I actually
Thanks.
cried during your vows and not his, if you can
Wow.
believe it.
Thank you.
So I was
In a way, I
trying
won the
my best not to
vows.
crack up during
You know what?
your
Thinking
vows.
about it, my SAT score was 1450.
You guys go off and fuck.
I gotta
first
cash
time.
it in now. Okay, so Poetry or Noetry, Avital edition. This is our first guest submission, so it's an
Do you
exciting
know the
moment.
answer, or are you and I trying to decide together?
I don't know the answer.
Which is
okay.
annoying because I
All right.
wanted to be able to run it by him. Like, will this pass? But I didn't. I can't.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. 2 of them are Leonard Cohen.
Which is your favorite poet / songwriter
He's
of all
yeah,
time?
just my favorite everything. I'm
Gotcha.
nervous.
You should be.
I'm so
I can really
nervous.
sniff these out.
Well, not the Shakespeare one, but yeah, the other
Yeah,
ones.
that was
Yeah,
good.
the other ones.
Yeah.
Shakespeare was kind of a cheat.
Ends Well Yet by Leonard Cohen.
Immortalized. Okay, we ready?
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
can't look over my shoulder, even though there's not a giveaway, but
Okay,
it
I
just
won't
feels like cheating.
yeah.
Okay. The first one's called Nothing. At once a rush of nothing thrashes through a tunnel to fracture the charade, splinter the sham. All it took was nothing, so vast and endless, it would gorge itself on light, nothing of consequence. That's the first one.
It really
Gorgeous.
moved you. I hope you didn't write it.
Second, The Hypnotist.
It's a good one.
I heard of a man who says words so beautifully that if he only speaks their name, women give themselves to him. If I am dumb beside your body, while silence blossoms like tumors on our lips, it is because I hear a man climb stairs and clear his throat outside our door.
I don't think you wrote that. but
There's no way. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. That's jaw dropping.
Yeah, Avital just sort of farted that out on the toilet the other day.
Yeah. If you wrote that one, I think you have to quit whatever you have planned for the rest of your life and be a poet.
Which is what he would say to Leonard too. So don't think that he's just trying to compliment
Dude,
you
hey,
specifically.
Mr. Cohen, I really think you got it.
Don't quit your day job, whatever. It is.
Poet
Take it from
laureate of
me.
Canada. Okay, or finally, the only poem. This is the only poem I can read. I am the only one can write it. I didn't kill myself when things went wrong. I didn't turn to drugs or teaching. I tried to sleep, but when I couldn't sleep, I learned to write. I learned to write what might be read on nights like this by one like me.
It's also pretty good. Jake, what do you think? Are you leading one way or another? We think the second one is probably
the second
Leonard.
one. I think we have to eliminate that, and I just feel like I'm barely hanging on. Just even hearing it read to me over Zoom, I almost cried.
Wow.
So I feel like that one just
Do you know Leonard?
No, I don't.
be.
Oh,
I
interesting.
don't. Only through I feel like AVITAL has told me some stuff
Maybe.
about him, or showed me songs of his.
That's cool. That makes me feel good.
But yeah, let's eliminate that.
Okay. Can you tell us, was Poem 2 written by Leonard Cohen?
That is a Leonard Cohen.
Okay, yeah.
I'm glad
that's
that
good.
it moved you so much. I'm
Yeah.
I guess in a way disappointed because
Well, we haven't figured yours out yet.
But I'm just
yeah.
saying I should have chose something less good, but I'm
Okay.
pleased to. Did it move you?
It didn't move me, but it definitely felt like a real poem in a way that I don't think all four of us couldn't have written. It was a professional job that took time.
And you also saw me write it in I mean, you didn't see the poem, but in like 10 minutes last night. So.
Okay. Do you want to hear the first and third again?
Yeah.
Okay.
First one was Nothing? Is that what it's
Nothing.
called? Okay.
At once a rush of nothing thrashes through a tunnel to fracture the charade, splinter the sham. All it took was nothing so vast and endless, it would gorge itself on light. Nothing of consequence. Or The Hypnotist. Nope, we did that one, sorry. The Only Poem. This is the only poem I can read. I am the only one can write it. I didn't kill myself when things went wrong. I didn't turn to drugs or teaching. I tried to sleep, but when I couldn't sleep, I learned to write. I learned to write what might be read on nights like this by one like me. I read them a little faster this time. I probably should have just
All
slowed
right.
it down.
And that actually helped. That actually helped a lot because I feel
Oh.
like the two things that would come to you if you're like, I need to write a poem for this podcast are nothing. I can't think of anything. So you kind of just write the poem about nothing. Or the other one is about writing a poem. So and I think actually in this segment, I've written a poem that was about writing a poem and you sniffed it out.
Because it was on your brain. It was hard to turn that part off.
Do you remember like the milkman delivers the milk and I write the poem, the bakers get up at dawn, I write the poem, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I thought it was a great poem. I thought that was really something. It was really something special.
It was a 4. It was a 4 out of 10 for me.
What are you thinking?
I think the first one would be AVITAL and the last one not, but I'm only like 51-49.
Yeah. The reason I think the last one is Cohen is because of the line, I'm the only one can write it, right? Is that the line? I'm the only one can write it. It's very unique. And but why it could be AVITAL is that it invokes suicide, which is a sly attempt at promoting the shows yet
Oh my
again
God,
in the final act of
AVITALash.com.
the
Yeah, for
show.
tickets. Yeah.
And why
I think
were
I'm
you
with you though. I'm going to
49?
go Nothing is AVITAL and the
And why
last
do
one
you
is
think
Cohen.
49-51? What's your reasoning?
I think the first one is yours because it didn't include the killing yourself line, which might have been too on the nose because that's sort of the dark comedy of your one person show. So I thought you wouldn't also put it in your poem. So we'll say number 1 was written by AVITAL, number 3 Leonard Cohen. It's true. We sniffed it out.
Poetry's hard, everybody.
Yes, but you were wrong about one thing. I mean, I don't know if it's worth explaining now, but it wasn't about nothing. Like I can't think of anything. It's like the oppressive nothingness of like nothing matters.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is what I was
Yeah.
trying. Granted, I wrote it very quickly, but the nothing of consequence I thought is fun because it's like nothing matters, nothing is of consequence, but also nothing is actually of consequence.
Let's
The
hear it
nothing
again.
is the most important thing.
Let's
is the
hear it
nothing.
again knowing it's
Yeah,
yours.
yeah.
Usually we make fun of it, but this one was good, so we won't actually.
At once a rush of nothing thrashes through a tunnel to fracture the charade, splinter the sham. All it took was nothing. So vast and endless, it would gorge itself on light. Nothing of consequence.
Yeah.
I got like a hiccup.
It would gorge itself on light is great. Really eloquent. Nice
I mean,
turn of phrase.
It was definitely.
I enjoyed the poem.
We weren't sure. There wasn't one bad one and 2 great ones. There was one that we were definitely sure was a Leonard.
Yeah,
There was
That's
one
great.
all-time.
Noticeably
That's an
great.
all-time poem.
I love that you love that.
transcends even Cohen. It's,
That makes me so
It's
happy.
incredible. Yeah, I didn't know that he wrote poems.
He did.
Yeah,
He
that-
started
has,
off as a poet and then moved into songwriting.
Wow, I need to read all of his poems.
That really makes me so happy. In a way,
Yeah.
I win because all of the Leonard poems were really good, and I love Leonard. So by the transitive property, my good taste reflects well upon me, which means I'm a winner.
And in another
And
way,
in another way, you lost actually all of the segments on the show. You don't know
the
your
game
husband,
for sure.
and you don't know how to write poetry. So
I mean, you were off on the SAT score. Jackie
wasn't.
doesn't count. I gave you Michael Resnick psychically.
you didn't give me, you gave me Michael Resnick by
She
saying
typed it.
Andrew something. Andrew something.
that
gave
was an
me
alley
Michael
oop.
Resnick.
It was an Andy
Psychically.
oop. It was an
Yep.
Andy oop, which is like an alley oop, but more Andrew.
And isn't his
based.
name really Michael Andrew Resnick? So I
It's
gave you the
actually
middle
Chap.
name.
Yeah.
Chap?
Yeah, it's his mom's maiden name.
Shit.
That was the ultimate question for the who knows me better than I even know myself. But we didn't get there.
I'm devastated.
I think it's
Amir's
good.
never gonna get laid.
It's nice that you didn't come on here and just dominate. The audience wouldn't like that. They would think, oh, he handed it to her. He guessed incorrectly. It's nice that we're not handing out participation trophies on this
And
podcast.
I made a Cohen fan, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Do you
An
want to
Amir
hear?
Cohen fan.
What was that?
An Amir Cohen fan.
No, fuck that guy.
He wrote the second poem. Did we say Leonard? I'm so sorry. Yeah, Amir Cohen wrote it.
Amazing.
I wanted to do this one poem. I'm gonna pull it up, but I had read it to Amir to potentially use. So once I realized you were guessing too, I was like, I can't use it. But
Is this the sexy one?
not quite sexy, kind of. It's called The Beautiful Poem. And it's I
Let's
go to
hear
bed
it.
in Los Angeles thinking about you. Pissing a few moments ago, I looked down at my penis affectionately. Knowing it has been inside you twice today makes me feel beautiful.
Would you
That's
have guessed
really-
Avital?
I wonder. That's really gorgeous.
By Richard Brotherton.
About your dick, specifically.
Man, I definitely need to read this guy. That's exactly the way I think sometimes.
Aw,
That's a Richard Brodigan.
that's right.
To commemorate this momentous occasion, I'm going to stump you. I'm going to win for the first time ever. Poetry or Noetry.
Interesting.
I
like the
worked
confidence.
hard on these words.
You did. All
I
right.
muddied the water to the point where it'll be a complete crapshoot / guessing game. If I don't win this version of the game, I will quit.
Really?
Not just the game, but the podcast,
Wow.
the headgum, it's all going away.
Because I can't remember super well, but I don't even think you've come close.
No, you
Like-
always got it in one. You never eliminated the good one, and it's mine.
Right.
Then you got it down to 2, and you sort of know which of the last 2 is mine as well.
Yeah.
So I was able to come up with a hook that I think will help me.
All right.
We should say this is segments, a podcast, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm 0 for 3 so far.
Yep.
I tried doing a theme like Los Angeles. I tried to do potpourri. Any
You tried
poem will do.
Ha'un, you tried
Yeah,
Los
Ha'un,
Angeles, and you
correct.
tried Sadie. That was
So-
your best poem, by the way.
Really? My first
Still
one.
love Sadie.
So this one, I thought the theme should be Shakespeare. These are 3 poems by William Shakespeare, or are they?
Oh, wow.
So it's like, it's
Wow.
kind of hard to understand. It's not really English, but
Yeah.
they're all kind of short
This is a gap in my,
poetry.
yeah, like I definitely prefer modern poetry.
Yes, to Bill.
Yeah.
And I spent some time on this. I would like write a draft and wait. I'm like, nah, this line is not right. Nah, no. This,
Yeah. Okay.
And
That
I'll-
is what it takes.
Yeah.
I think we've at least learned that we're not just going to. Any of the poems that we farted out were sniffed out. My
Yeah.
last poem also, I worked on it for a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I jokingly instantly knew, but then I
Yeah.
fucking made a U-turn, an emotional U-turn.
Yeah. Because you were like, well, it's really
Ends
good.
well yet by William Shakespeare.
Ends well yet. That's almost certainly not you, but let's go on.
Then let's start with another one.
Yeah. Ends well yet is if
Ends
this is you, that's a very poetic turn of phrase. And I love it. Okay.
By the way, there were iterations of this where I kind of cheated, but I got rid of those lines. I'm like, let me borrow this line from this
Oh,
Hamlet. I'm
asshole.
like,
Yeah,
But
all
I didn't.
right.
I didn't, okay? I
Okay.
fucking didn't.
All right.
Ends well yet by Bill Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
I would be too. Because I am going to try to use how you're reading and what your body language is.
Yeah, we're playing poker, not poetry. Ends well yet. Perilous brothers rate and scheme, bargaining with death and failing. Merrily, sisters scud far off their last breath, trading their senses for wailing. Draw nearest your garments, then, that needeth to mend, for all that begins must needeth to end.
Okay. That's
Sigh no more, ladies.
hold on. Let me digest this one a little bit. Because there was one line that sounded like you a little bit, and it was merrily the ladies do something. Because
Merrily Sisters scud off.
it reminds me a little bit of traipsing as he carved.
Hollywood style.
All right.
Okay.
Next poem is called
Full Fathom 5
Full Fathom 5.
by William Shakespeare.
Maybe.
Or is it? Full fathom 5, thy father lies. Of his bones are coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him that doth fade. But doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell. Ding dong, hark! Now I hear them. Ding dong bell.
Okay.
Sigh no more, ladies.
Sigh no more, ladies.
Sigh no more, ladies, sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever. 1 foot in sea and 1 on shore. To one thing constant never. Then sigh not so, but let them go. And be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey, nonny, nonny.
Ooh, second one's you.
Full fathom 5? You don't think that's a unique phrase or kind of random?
Is it you?
Do you want me to read anything again? Do you want to just trust your instinct?
I'm gonna trust my instinct because the first poem moved me, and the third poem moved me. The second one did nothing.
Full fathom 5.
Full fathom 5. And if you wrote 1 or 3, I do commend you because I thought they were great.
So let me read Full fathom 5 to you again.
Yeah,
just so you can. You don't have to commit yet.
Yeah.
Full fathom 5 by William Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Full fathom 5, thy father lies. Of his bones are coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him that doth fade.
Yeah,
but
that doesn't make sense.
I didn't fucking finish. This is the kind of shit that pisses me off. Because I'm really not done. And you wouldn't do that to Will Shakespeare, nor should you do that to me.
I wouldn't do it to Bill.
If this was, in fact, my fucking poem, which I'm not even telling you it is or isn't yet. But doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell. Ding dong, hark, now I hear them. Ding dong bell.
Now that I hear it a second time, I'm so convinced that it's you.
Wow. You don't even want to hear Ends Well Yet or
I would love to hear
Sigh No
Ends Well Yet again because I thought it was incredible.
Okay, are you locking in
Yes,
Full
I'm
Fathom
locking
5?
it in.
Full Fathom 5 is by William Shakespeare.
Really?
That's correct.
Wow.
So now let's go into round 2. Uncharted territory for me.
Oh my God.
For the complete win.
I'm absolutely floored.
Now you're deciding between Sigh No More Ladies and Ends Well Yet. This is just for a bonus chance for my joy.
Wow.
Ends Well Yet.
Yeah.
Or do you want to hear the other one?
No, I want to hear in the same order.
Ends Well Yet.
Yeah.
Perilous brothers rate and scheme, bargaining with death and failing. Merrily sisters scud far off their last breath, trading their senses for wailing. Draw nearest your garments, then, that needeth to mend, for all that begins must needeth to end.
I like it. I like it.
Sigh no more, ladies. Sigh no more, ladies. Sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever. 1 foot in sea and 1 on shore. To one thing constant never. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey nani nani.
I have to say, I really like both of these poems.
So this is more of a coin flip than anything. Are you
Yeah.
51-49 of any of them?
No, I feel like both of them have something that I think could be you.
Is
in
it the hey nani nani?
No, like it's things like that that make me feel like Amir wouldn't have come up with it.
Right.
Hey nani nani.
Yeah.
But then
Does ends well yet have anything?
ends
that
well
I
yet,
wouldn't
like
come
I
up
just think that that's a really beautiful turn of phrase, and I feel like you wouldn't have come up with that. But like I also really thought that the C one sucked.
with? So maybe Shakespeare just kind of
Like I might just like you as a poet.
more than William Shakespeare. That's cool.
Yeah, I guess I'll say read me that first one again.
Ends well yet.
Ends well yet.
Casey, do you have a inkling?
I think I'm leaning towards the second one being you.
Nani nani.
Nani nani, yeah.
Okay. Ends well yet. Perilous brothers rate and scheme, bargaining with death and failing.
Yeah, that's too good to be you, I think. But then go on.
Merrily, sisters scud far off, last their breath, trading their senses for wailing.
Mm-hmm.
Draw nearest your garments then, that needeth to mend,
Yeah,
for
that
all
could
that
be you.
begins must needeth to end.
Right. Yeah, I guess I'll say the nani nani is you.
Nani nani is me.
Yeah.
Sigh No More Ladies is by William Shakespeare.
Wow.
Wow.
Ends well yet.
Is Amir Blumenfeld
original.
That was actually really good.
really good.
I thought it was a great poem.
Yeah! Dab on him!
Wow.
Hit him with a nay-nay!
Hit him with the nani nani.
Hey, nani nani, hey, nani nani nani!
Wow.
And all I did was put two other Shakespeare poems together.
I wanna
and
know
it
everything.
Fucking hit. It really hit.
What were you saying with Ends Well Yet?
Well, I looked into Shakespeare poems, and some of them were very long sonnets, and some of them were like long speeches. And I'm like, okay, let me read some short ones. What are they about? And they're all like love, war, death, life. I'm like, okay, this first one is about ladies. The second one is about love or father. And then this last one will be about war or death.
I see.
And
So
you
were
sort
like-
of read an early iteration when I say, oh, Hounds of War. You
Yeah.
said you like saw that on my computer.
Oh yeah,
once.
when we were recording something else, I saw.
Hounds of War,
Uh-huh.
which is another phrase. So I'm like, okay, let me get rid of this one. Also, this poem had a line from Hamlet, which is to sleep to die perchance to dream, or to die to sleep perchance to dream.
Yeah,
And I asked AVITAL, and she's like, no, that's kind of like, that'll tip him off because it's from Hamlet.
it wouldn't
Like,
have.
So like if I did to die to sleep perchance to dream, you would be like, oh, that sounds Shakespearean.
Yeah, but
then
that could
also,
also like I mean, I only remember that line because it was in Billy Madison.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's a famous line at this
Right,
point.
apparently.
But then, like, would that like make you think, oh, that he did write that or he did borrow it? So I'm like, let me
Yeah.
get rid of any Shakespeare borrowing. This
Good.
is just actually, I did search certain words like sisters scud far off.
Yeah.
Scud is like another word for walking.
Wow.
So I used the words.
So yeah,
like
how did you
scud.
find the word scud?
I searched Shakespearean walking and I found scud.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's really good. You really did go deep.
Yeah.
You went deep.
Yeah.
All right. Congrats, man.
Perilous brothers rate and scheme, like that doesn't mean anything. Rate, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a nothing.
That's
burger,
true.
for sure.
But it was the bargaining with death and failing.
Yeah.
That got me.
Yeah, and that was originally not that line because it didn't rhyme. The original version was perilous brothers rate and scheme, bargaining toward death she.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. And
So
then
you're punching it up. It's actually working.
Yeah, I punched it up and
You're
made it
getting
rhyme
better.
with wailing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was afraid that all your sounds of woe into hey nani nani would be like you said, that's not anything I would have thought of.
Right. But then I didn't think that Ends Well Yet is a title that could come out of you.
Yeah, at first it was all's well that ends well.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
like,
bad.
that doesn't make sense. Or that's like a famous phrase. So then I
Right.
just said ends well.
Yeah.
Then I added yet. Ends well yet.
Wow. We should write a book of poetry.
No,
And we can
I really don't think that would be good. I thought that poem sucked.
I thought it was good.
And it's the last one I'll ever write.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you found your voice.
Really? Because I do have some other drafts.
It's
that are
Shakespearean.
pretty good. Hey, Nani Nani was me too. And I also thought you thought Blythe and Bonnie would give it away as a Shakespeare thing because like that I would never know that phrase.
Yeah. No,
Be you
Blythe and Bonnie,
Bonnie.
I kind of knew that one. So I was like,
Yeah.
But in my head, I felt like that second poem was almost like littered with random, like I think there was a hark in there.
Yeah.
It almost didn't feel like it was from the same era as the first two.
Oh, interesting.
So like that one felt like it was a modern poem that you tried to make Shakespeare-y by like just throwing in
Yeah.
random words.
And Full Fathom 5, I'm jealous of that title because that it doesn't mean anything, but it feels real.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to come up with something like
No,
Full
I think
Fathom 5.
the alliteration is something that you and I both sometimes do in poems because we like the cadence, and that I guess reads as poetry for us.
Also these rhyme, which I think we've never done before.
Right? Yeah, the rhymes actually
rhymes
probably hurt me a little bit.
Yeah, because all three of them rhyme.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're tied.
We're tied.
We're tied.
One poem each. Call me Amir Shakespeare.
No,
Okay.
Shakespeare.
Nice. Our favorite segment of segments, poetry or Noetry.
Yes, that's right. I need to calm down. I need to center myself.
Yes.
And the only thing that can do that for me is the written word.
Right.
They are poems themselves, folks. I've found two wonderful poems,
Yep.
and I wrote a third piece of shit poem that actually sucks ass unless you like it. Then it was, then it's a great poem, and I tried really hard. And if you didn't like it, then I farted it out in no time.
And the goal of the game is for me to not know which poem is real and which one is yours.
Yes, these are two poems by poets and one poem by this jackass.
And is this your fourth attempt or third attempt?
I believe this is number 4.
Okay.
Because on the third attempt, I did get you with a poem titled February, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
February stumped you.
Yeah.
And I got you twice, and you fooled me on the third attempt with your poems. So
Ends
it's actually
well yet.
which is a great poem.
Ha'un walked so that ends well yet could, what's it called?
Trot.
No, hopscotch across chalk top
towers.
shops. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Ha'un has grown on me, I'll say. Okay, so I am going to read you these 3 poems. What order do you want me to go in? Do you want me to give you my poem first?
Let's do your poem middle.
Okay, all right, perfect.
And remember, you guys could totally play along at home.
Yes, and you should.
Okay.
The first poem is called This Room.
Yours. Next.
Really? Because I've been so room focused.
Okay, this room.
This room. The room I entered was a dream of this room. Surely all those feet on the sofa were mine. The oval portrait of a dog was me at an early age. Something shimmers, something is hushed up. We had macaroni for lunch every day.
You love
except
macaroni. You love macaroni and cheese.
We had macaroni for lunch every day, except Sunday, when a small quail was induced to be served to us. Why do I tell you these things? You are not even here.
I really think that one's yours, but I want to hear the other two.
Okay, that poem is called This Room.
Okay.
This poem is called Poem to be Read at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Excepting the diner on the outskirts, the town of Ladora at 3 a.m. was dark but for my headlights. And up in one second-story room, a single light where someone was sick or perhaps reading as I drove past at 70, not thinking. This poem is for whoever had the light on.
Also could be yours. That's the joy of the game. You love fucking America pastoral. I see a gas station in the distance. I'm in
Diner,
a car.
road
It's
trip.
A diner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gas station at Gloaming.
Yeah.
That is my shit.
Okay.
Poem number 3. What he saw. Zhang He saw the world.
Zhang He! This is a Ha-Un parody. Zhang He saw the world.
Zhang He saw the world.
How dare you? How dare you use this against me? Zhang He.
Yes. Zhang He played Foursquare on the recessed blacktop.
Handball, clip clap, bing bang bong boom.
Right. What he saw. Zhang He saw the world, turned the ashes to crown jewels. He brought back ivory, sandalwood, and half his men. 600 years later, beside the same ocean, clouds gathering like 300 ships at full sail coming home. The gem of your eye catches mine, that piratical gleam, a double-edged smile. Like Zhang He, you believe this world is yours, and so am I.
I wish one popped out at me more.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
all pretty equally
You don't want to say
poems.
good? You're okay. You're just going to
Yeah.
say they're poems. They're all poems.
But like when I read some, you're like, that one moved me. None of these like moved me. They all seem
Really?
like kind of like House on Mango Street style, if you remember that. It's just like, this is a story about a guy or girl doing
yeah.
a thing or two.
I think they're all incredibly moving, but yes, I'm at least glad that you're confused because you're not stirred to emotion by any of them.
But honestly, the first one, and this is what got me last time, I'm like, this one's yours, this one's yours. And at the last second, I changed my fucking mind. And it was the one that I thought was yours the whole time. Which speaks to me like that is the first one that you read, called The
'cause
Room.
This room, actually.
This Room. Okay. Read that one again, and I'll tell you why that one's yours.
The room I entered was a dream of this room. Surely all those feet on the sofa were mine. The oval portrait of a dog was me at an early age. Something shimmers, something is hushed up. We had macaroni for lunch every day, except Sunday, when a small quail was induced to be served to us. Why do I tell you
Induced to be served. That's not a fucking sentence. A small
Let me finish the
quail
poem.
was induced
Let me finish
to be
the poem.
served. Okay.
Why do I tell you these things? You were not even here.
Okay. So the only thing that's making me not think it's that one is that one is so you that like you found it and you're like, ooh, Amir will think it's that one. Because I talk about macaroni and I talk about a room and I talk about fucking an oval picture of a dog that reminds me of me.
Yes.
Which is similarly to the Zhang He one, which is kind of a fucking wink and a nod. I guess you found an Asian American's name and you thought this would be funny to sort of muddy the water. Or it's a reversal in which you actually did write a Ha-Un poem just to fool me, because if I didn't guess it and it isn't, then I've been fooled by my own Ha-Un.
Yeah.
Then I've
and you
been
think,
tricked by my own game.
So are you going to rule out poem to be read at 3 a.m.?
Which is the second one, which is another
Yeah.
one that reminded me of yours, because it's like the diner and the light and the fucking this and that and the other. Okay, read
Yeah.
that second one. Let's see if I can eliminate it.
Poem to be read at 3 a.m. Excepting the diner on the outskirts, the town of Ladora at 3 a.m. was dark but for my headlights. And up in one second-story room, a single light where someone was sick or perhaps reading as I drove past at 70, not thinking. This poem is for whoever had the light on.
Yeah. There's two ways to eliminate. It's like poems that have a line or a word where like, oh, you would never use that word. And then there's one, it's like, oh, that was definitely you because you did use that word.
Mm-hmm.
So none of these have things where I'm like, that's not a word you would know. The induce the quail thing keeps coming back to me. We have macaroni every day except for Sundays where we induced a quail, or a quail
when a
was
small
induced.
quail was induced to be served to us.
Okay, let me eliminate one.
Okay.
If I may be so bold, I will say Zhang He is a real poem.
It's a
True
real
or
poem.
false? It's a real poem. Okay.
What he saw
Was a real
is
poem.
written by. It's a real poem written by me. Yeah.
You wrote Zhang He?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And just so you know, it wasn't a Ha-Un ripoff.
It absolutely was. It was an
No.
Asian name.
An Asian. He's a Chinese explorer from 1400.
Zhang He?
Yes, because I'll tell you the whole entire story of Zhang.
I've been
He.
Ha-uned.
You've been Ha-uned. Well, you didn't. You didn't get Ha-uned because I got Ha-uned and you didn't get Zhang He.
I thought you were trying to do a double reverse where it's like, I'm going to give him a real poem named Zhang
That
He.
was an
He'll
added.
guess
Yeah.
it.
That was an added benefit to my real poem. I was like, he's gonna get tripped up by the Asian name of it all.
Yeah.
But the impetus was that the line came to me, and I believe the line in my head at first was Magellan saw the world, because I wanted to write something about like, the world as an explorer saw it. So then I just searched explorers, and sure enough,
Ha-un is one of them. Zhang He saw the world. All right, so now let's
15
hear it.
famous explorers who changed the world. They are Marco Polo, Zhang He, Henry the Navigator, Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama. These are all people you learned about in school.
Except for Zhang. And doesn't that say it all?
It really does. So he
Unbelievable.
is
I thought
Chinese
I'd be able to
explorer.
eliminate one and we could flip a coin. I was
That's
leaning
right.
towards the first one anyway.
You were.
Okay,
that's a
let's
poem
hear
by
Zhang He.
John Ashbery. Well, I'll read it to you, but I want to go through it line by line because I'll say that I'm massively proud of Zhang He. Like I tried really hard with this poem.
That's
way
good.
harder than I have with any other poems before.
Well, it shows because I was so certain that was a real one.
Yeah. What he saw. Zhang He saw the world, turned the ashes to crown jewels. He brought back ivory, sandalwood, and half his men. 600 years later, beside the same ocean, clouds gathering like 300 ships at full sail, coming home. The gem of your eye catches mine, that piratical gleam, a double-edged smile. Like Zhang He, you believe this world is yours, and so am I. It's beautiful. What is it about Zhang He that's just the perfect poem? First, tell me what you loved about it, because you thought, like, what made you think that's it? That's the real poem. That's a real poem from a real poet.
Honestly,
all I
remember is hearing Zhang He, and I'm like, I'm out on that one. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Now that I hear it again, I guess I get that crown jewels and then the gem, aka Gemma of your eye. So I'm like, okay, that should have been a dead giveaway.
Almost changed that to pearl, but then I was like, why don't I leave it in? Because he might hear gem and think that I wouldn't use such a clue to tip him off.
Exactly, which is what I thought about Zhang He, aka Ha-un, aka crown jewel.
I'd love to go over some of the
And you also love
earlier
nautical
iterations.
themes. You love boats and shit.
That's right. So like, let's talk about what he saw. It sounds like I'm talking about what like a man saw. What he saw, but it's actually Zhang He or Zhang He.
What Zhang He saw.
What Zhang He saw the world, and then also I say he brought back ivory sandalwood. Like he brought it back, but also he. Very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
It is kind of
at all.
interesting.
Yeah,
And then
I didn't say
the
that.
clouds gathering like 300 ships at full sail coming home. You really picture
you love
that
fucking
coming
boats and
in.
shit. You
And
love fucking the
I also
Navy
did a little,
theme.
I did a little research on Zhang He.
And
who went
ivory
to-
and sandalwood.
Yes,
and
so
shit
I
like
googled.
that.
So I searched what did he bring back.
Yeah.
I actually did look up what he brought back.
Yeah.
And then I also searched how many ships he brought. So 300 ships at full sail coming home. The clouds gathering as you're standing there, but like you're watching. He's armada coming home. I mean, that's just gorgeous. And then the gleam in someone's eye, a piratical smile, double-edged smile like a double-edged sword, while
he is a pirate, or at least that type of explorer. I mean, there's just something so lovely, excuse me, about the way these.
I just looked it up. John Ashbery wrote all three of these. Zhang He, yeah, he wrote Zhang He in college one night.
Honestly, Ashbery fucking wishes. Ashbery wishes he could write what he saw. I mean, this poem, it merges two worlds, the grand historical past that's just got this incredible scope that we couldn't even understand, with the same type of, like, the depth of a love that you might have for somebody. I think that's I just think that's so fucking moving, don't you? I'm just trying to analyze. I'm just analyzing this poem in like the most non-biased way. I know that I wrote it, so it's typical for me to.
You do
think
know
it's
that
so
you
good.
wrote it.
But
And how did you find the other two? And did you find two that you thought sounded like something you would have written?
Poem to be read at 3 a.m. Is in Garrison Keillor's book of good poems, and it's always been a poem that I really liked. And I actually didn't even consider it because the way I had it in my memory, it was much shorter.
Yeah.
But then I pulled it up this morning, and I was like, because I was looking for a third poem, and I saw that it was a similar length to Zhang He, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna use this, and I knew that you might think it was me because it has all that like, it almost feels like other poems I've written really pull from this. Yeah, absolutely.
You've been inspired by this one.
And this room, I just found that this morning. I was like, I think I searched like some of the best short form contemporary poems.
And
I
Quail
saw,
was induced for it, or
this one just had it all. I really liked it, but I was also like, okay, we've got a dog portrait, we have macaroni, we have a small quail being induced, and like also
labor.
The last line is, it's so, I feel like this is my style where I'm trying to do something like with a turn on the last line.
Yeah, but the footsteps were always there.
Yeah, so I thought you might think it was me, but I felt pretty confident just in that I worked so hard on what he saw. Like, I tweaked that all week.
Did you read it to Jill?
Yes, I did, and she actually helped me with it, because originally it was...
That's cheating.
He brought back
cheating.
ivory silk in Half His Men, but I think sandalwood really fits better. I also had 600 years later. I think I originally had 600 years later, we stand beside the same ocean, or we stand in front of the same ocean. And I was like, we gotta lose we stand. So now it's much cleaner. 600 years later, beside the same ocean. You almost aren't like, it's not as jarring, excuse me, as
I haven't said anything in 5 minutes.
Not as jarring
Lose the
as
we
it was
stand,
originally.
just beside.
It was also originally the jewel of your eye catches mine. But I had already put crown jewel, which that line, I'm surprised it made it all the way through, because it meant nothing. Like, it turned the ashes to crown jewels. I don't know what that is. It just kind of rolled off my tongue when I said Zhang He saw the world. And then I felt compelled to keep it. But yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a great poem. I had a good time writing it. And like you said, I think it's one of the better ones, or if not the best you've mentioned, that we have done on the program. And
imagine Zhang He and Ha-Un in class together.
I think you're being racist.
And Zhang He goes by Zach now.
They're different.
And
they're really different poems. They're very different poems. They're
Ha-Un
so different.
and Zhang He.
They're incredibly different poems. There's one similarity.
It's a really glaring similarity. Actually, let me write a poem for next week. I have an idea. I'm going to find 3 poems that start with 3 Asian names.
I think I won by coming up with just a fucking badass, awesome poem, and you're pissed at me.
Yeah, I at least wanted to eliminate the real one and then get it down to a fun coin toss. The fact that I eliminated yours right off the bat.
Yeah. Which I think I might have done with Ends Well Yet, right?
I think you thought, or you did the reverse. You guessed mine first, and then you got it down to 2, and then you guessed again incorrectly.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
All right. Good game.
Do you want to hear one of the other poems that I almost read?
That you wrote?
No, that I almost. Have you ever heard the Ada Limon poem?
No, of course not. I've heard of 4 poems.
Okay, well this one I almost read. It's just a really great poem. Ada Limon's a great poet. It's called "How to Triumph Like a Girl." I like the lady horses best, how they make it all look easy. Like running 40 miles per hour is as fun as taking a nap or grass. I like their lady horse swagger after winning. Ears up, girls, ears up. But mainly, let's be honest, I like that they're ladies, as if this big, dangerous animal is also a part of me, that somewhere inside the delicate skin of my body there pumps an 8-pound female horse heart, giant with power, heavy with blood. Don't you believe it? Don't you want to lift my shirt and see the huge beating genius machine that thinks, no, it knows it's going to come in first?
That would have been a great one for me to guess as yours.
Yeah, I thought you might, because you're like, you wouldn't write something like this and present it. But I just love that poem.
Such a pro-female poem that you cranked
that you'd have to guess. You would have to guess it was me. That was what I was banking on.
That would have been good.
And there's just one last poetry related thing, because I wanted to read Ada Limon's The Raincoat, but I cry so hard every time I read it that I was like, and then this morning I was like, I'll test it. I'll see if I'm like still crying. And I read it, and I like not only like cry, I like choked back tears, not eyes welling up. I was like, oh my God. Oh,
what's it about?
I can't even. I'll say.
You can't even say the subject.
Well, I could say I could say what it's about, but it would. I feel like it would ruin. Everyone just has to read it. It's about it's about motherhood, I guess. Or parents.
Yeah.
Man, it's so damn good.
Okay. All right. We'll leave people with homework.
Yeah. Go read that poem and cry your eyes out.
Losers. And we're returned.
Yes, we are.
It's been a while because I had to replenish my creative coffer.
Mm-hmm. But now the juices are flowing.
You can't bang out a new poem every week. Like, nobody's that prolific. I have to wait until my vocabulary resets itself.
I actually tried something in July where I was writing a poem every day.
And were any of them good enough to share on this podcast?
Oh, no, they're personal, deeply personal poems. They're not for consumption.
Let's choose one at random. Let's say the July 1st, your first poem that you wrote.
Yeah.
Potentially most personal and
right.
raw
The day that I was
had.
overcome with emotion, that I was like, you know what? I'm going to write a poem.
I have to do this.
I'm going to write this,
day.
and I'll do this every day. I didn't.
Did you make it every day?
No. But I've probably, between July and now, I think I wrote like 7 or 8 poems.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I did like 3 days in a row. Then it was sort of a once a week thing. And once a week feels a lot better than every day. Every day is really hard because you end up just kind of being like, I think I'm forcing it. Let me
fart out a limerick. It's 11:40.
All right. Anyway, let's hear yours.
Okay, so I got 4 instead of the usual 3.
What? Wait a second. Whoa, you're moving the goalposts on me, bud. What are you talking about? You can't give me 4 poems.
I'm giving you 4, and they're pretty. Some of them are kind of like completely new, unpoem-like, but let's see how it goes.
Well, all right, fine. But this is obviously kind of bunk because it's supposed to be 3. Now you're having me choose.
It's supposed to be 3. But you kept getting it right, so now I thought I'd muddy the water a little bit.
I see. All right, let's hear it.
Okay. Okay. This first one is called Ella Telefino.
Nice. It's not you, but go ahead.
Once there was an elephant who tried to use the telephant. No, I mean an elephone who tried to use the telephone. Dear me, I'm not certain quite that even now I've got it right. However it was, he got his trunk entangled in the telefunk. The more he tried to get it free, the louder buzzed the telefee. I fear I'd better drop this song of Elefop and Telefong.
It's not for me, but I think it was wildly creative. It was fun. That feels like a poem written by a poet who is like, it was like a good actor who's like, I'm going to star in a rom-com. That's what it felt like. Somebody just flexing a muscle that they don't often use. That's my gut take. Let's move on.
Jesus in Jacksonville.
Okay, this could be you.
Do you think Jesus was in Jacksonville? Did he celebrate at Melting Pot and bowl with Willie Dennis? Did Jesus ever shop at Dillard's or beat the Heat in Township Square? Did he score a bingo at Arlington's or cash his checks at the Winn-Dixie Docu-Teller? Do you think Jesus was at Palestine Park? Did he get high with skaters, beats, and punks? Or did he end up like Von Wiedeking and proselytize with Ginsburg? Don't smoke, don't smoke, don't smoke. It's a $9 billion capitalist communist joke.
Okay. All right. I don't necessarily like it, but I don't think it was you now.
Wood.
Wood?
Wood.
WOOD?
Correct.
All right.
We age in darkness like wood and watch our phantoms change. They're clothes of shingles and boards for a purpose that can only be described as wood. You see what I mean by different kinds of poems here?
Yeah. Very cryptic. Very cryptic. I do like this kind of poetry. I think if you had read all three of these, and
there is one more.
Yeah, I know. So if you'd read these three, I would be pretty confused. I think I'd guess wood, but I feel like this last poem will be you. So let's hear it.
This one's called Shopping at Erewhon with the Boys. No.
Marty and Cohen took me a shopping.
There's no way this is a real one. Actually, this is not too dissimilar from that joke. It's called wallpapering.
Oh, wow.
As you know.
Yeah.
We've talked ad nauseum about my wallpaper fiascos.
Mm-hmm.
My parents argued over wallpaper. Would stripes make the room look larger? He would measure, cut, and paste. She'd swipe the flaws out with her brush. Once it was properly hung, doubt would set in. Would the floral have been a better choice? Then it would grow until she was certain it had to go. Divorce terrified me as a child. I didn't know what led to it, but I had my suspicions. The stripes came down.
God. That last poem really does nothing for me. And that's why I would think it's you. But there's this
Ella Telefino. Once they're from the top.
It's like, I feel like this last one should be you, but with the wallpapering that you did recently, and I don't think you'd write about your parents.
In a way that's why I did write about my parents, or like even in that context.
Did you go directly at my doubt? You're like, oh, he doesn't think I'm dumb enough to like write a poem called Wallpapering. But then I'm like, are you double faking me? But could you be double faking me and doing something with your parents, which would really trip me up? Let me hear Wood again.
Let's see Paul Allen's poem. Okay, Wood.
Yeah.
Wood is the most like the poems we have been doing.
Right.
A classic capital P poem called Wood. We age in darkness like wood and watch our phantoms change. There are clothes of shingles and boards for a purpose that can only be described as wood.
So yeah, it doesn't mean anything. And it's not true. We age in darkness.
That's actually not correct. We don't. Not even metaphorically do we do that. I'm sorry.
Let's eliminate a poem.
Don't.
Let's eliminate a poem We're gonna eliminate the elephant telephone poem.
Ella Telefino
Yeah, Ella Telefino.
by Laura Elizabeth Richards.
Okay.
Is a real poem. Ella Telefoni, I should say.
Ella Telephone.
I remember that one because I learned it in elementary school.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
It's a
Ella
nice poem.
Telefino. Ella
It's
Telefonia.
whimsical. I would like to read her other work. Does she only do children's poems, or is that kind of like a departure for her?
I thought it was super modern, but then when I searched it online, she was like born in 1850. So,
Wow.
yeah, I guess she was being funny back in the 19th century.
Wow. So it's
Shout
even
out to
funnier than
Laura.
I thought. What was the second one? I literally don't remember. Oh, the Jesus one?
Jesus in Jacksonville, yeah.
See, I kind of feel like that could be you as well, because it feels a little bit like you just went to the Jacksonville Wikipedia and pulled up a bunch of...
Spammed it.
Yeah. Why don't I'm going to eliminate wallpapering.
Eliminate wallpapering.
Yeah.
Wallpapering is a real poem. So you
Nice.
are down to Wood and Jesus in Jacksonville. Let me pull it up again.
Let's...
Yeah, wallpapering is a poem that I searched. I searched wallpaper on Poetry Foundation,
Mhm.
and that was one of them by, let me look, Sue Ellen Thompson.
Sue Ellen Thompson.
That's right.
It's not a bad poem, but I don't really feel like it says enough.
Okay.
Sorry, Sue. I'm sorry, Sue. It's just not for
But you still
me.
didn't think I wrote it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really think it was mostly the wallpaper of it and your parent and the parents of it. I was like, I just don't think Amir could go there. So it wasn't about the poem's quality. No offense to Sue. Okay. Can I hear Jesus in Jacksonville?
It's a long one.
Yeah.
But here it goes. Do you think Jesus was in Jacksonville? Did he celebrate at Melting Pot and bowl with Willie Dennis? Did Jesus ever shop at Dillard's or beat the Heat in Township Square? Did he score a bingo at Arlington's or cash his checks at the Winn-Dixie Docuteller? Do you think Jesus was at Palestine Park? Did he get high with skaters, beats, and punks? Or did he end up like Von Wiedeking and proselytize with Ginsburg? Quote, don't smoke, don't smoke, don't smoke. It's a $9 billion capitalist communist joke.
Okay.
Could not be more different than Wood.
Yeah. I feel like at the end of the day, do you think Jesus was in Jacksonville? Is just not a question that you would ask. And I come back to the fact that Wood is really a meaningless poem. So
I can't stress enough how little we age in the darkness.
let's go ahead and guess that you wrote Wood.
Wood by Richard Brodigan.
No way.
We age in darkness like wood and watch
Oh.
our phantoms change their clothes of
Oh.
shingles and boards for a purpose that can only be described as wood. That's right. I wrote Jesus in Jacksonville. Do you think Jesus was in Jacksonville?
That's
you
good.
are right. I did just fucking spam Wikipedia and put in as many references as humanly possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And tried to write kind of an anti-poem, a poem that's not poetic at all. Just like, hey, do you think this happened? Do you think this happened? I wonder if he did this.
I got to be honest, I don't hate the poem. It ends with a very interesting like cadence. It's just a quote.
Yeah.
I also should have I almost said this out loud, but the word proselytize, I just think that's a word that you like. Man, that irks me.
I was gonna go on for like way too long and be like, and you're like, usually the really, really long ones
Right.
are not it. But I'm running out of steam here, and the more I write, the more I
Yeah.
can give away.
That was
In fact, there was
another reason though. I was like, this one it seems too long for him. Because Wood is short, it's cryptic. Like I mentioned, I feel like it's pretty meaningless. And yeah, that seemed like, it seemed a little bit all's ends well yet-y at the end of the day to me.
And I kind of cheated because I did take that last quote from a different poem.
Oh, that's a huge cheat. That's a huge
yeah,
cheat.
that's an Allen Ginsberg poem. So that's why I wrote, did he proselytize with Ginsberg? Quote. And then I quoted
Oh,
an
and then
Allen
you
Ginsberg
quote. I
poem.
see. All right. Well, no, I thought, yeah, I knew that it was a quote that wasn't your words, but I thought it was interesting that a poem would end with a quote. And you didn't steal that. You didn't steal that somebody else ended their poem with a quote. You just stole the quote.
That's right.
All right, so that's good.
There
I
was
like it.
actually there was a last stanza that I didn't read.
Let's hear it.
Because I sent it to AVITAL, and she's like, I would just end it with the quote.
Yeah.
So this is what I didn't read. It's impossible to say whether this would have tipped you off, but
Yeah.
now you'll definitely say it would have. Here
Right.
it is. Ready? I felt that he was there when we protested Mayor Burns, then ate Greek sandwiches at Christo's. I thought he preached at Bishop Kenny and taught at Mater Dei, but I know Jesus was in Jacksonville because he told me he was there.
Ooh, I like that. I think if anything, that would have made me really commit to Wood.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I should have kept it in.
I thought, yeah, that really wraps it up nicely. I think that's a good poem, man.
Jesus was in Jacksonville.
Do you think between this and what he saw,
Well, you
are we
wouldn't read-
getting are we getting better?
You didn't read the ones that you wrote every day, so I can't really
Well,
say.
I think I'm based. I established myself as a poet when I wrote What He Saw. That was a really great poem, and it got you, and it got you bad, and it got me good.
What seesaw?
And now, do you think Jesus was in Jacksonville, or is it just called Jesus?
No, just
in
Jesus in Jacksonville.
Jesus in Jacksonville. I think that's kind of your best work. We're getting to the point where we could put together a book of poems.
Interesting. So let's scrap the fucking soccer podcast. Like, that's just going to waste our time on the path that we
Right.
want to take towards being literary published poets.
Yeah, literary giants, titans of the
Correct.
industry. I mean, what poet isn't rich as fuck?
Laura E. Richards was a billionaire. She owns Aston Villa.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. How dope is that? She wrote Ella Telephony and then fucked around and bought Brighton Hove Albion.
Nice, dude. You're getting into the football.
Do we have a poem?
We certainly do. This is poetry.
Sort of a lightning round version of poetry
Yes.
or Noetry, yeah.
Poetry or Noetry. I have 3 limericks, one of which was written by yours truly.
Okay.
Number 1. There was an old man with a beard who said, "It is just as I feared. The owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren have all built their nests in my beard."
I'm going to say that one's not you, but I'll keep an open mind as I hear the next 2.
There was an old man in a tree who was horribly bored by a bee. When they
Yeah,
said,
that's you.
Does it...
Next segment.
When they said, "Does it buzz?" he replied, "Yes, it
Dude.
does. It's a regular
Yeah.
brute of a bee."
Two.
I'll read the third.
Okay.
There was an old man by a stream who slept and had a wet dream. When he awoke, he looked like a bloke who sat in a bucket of cream.
Okay. Now it makes me want to say 3 because of the wet dream part. But I was so certain about 2, I almost want to stick to my gut and say that you found a dirty limerick for the third one. So I'll stick to it, say, man in a tree is you. Wet dream is one you found.
Man in a tree, or yes, there was an old man in a tree is written by Edward Lear. That's time. That's right.
We'll never know if you wrote the wet cream one.
I wrote the cream one. If you'd like to hear it again, for everybody to tell their friends, there was an old man by a stream who slept and had a wet dream. When he awoke, he looked like a bloke who had sat in a bucket of cream.
Jesus
Very
Christ,
nice.
that's so
Very
much
nice.
spum. Boiling hot at that.
Spum.
It's a spiritual sequel to Lunch Conversation. And we're back. All right, let's get our heads out of the gutter.
That's right. Let's talk about something beautiful. The written word.
can't just-
the spoken
Just
poem.
fucking talk about cranking it and yanking it.
Yeah.
We're fucking
Right.
53 and 49.
I want to hear something beautiful. Let's read some poetry.
Right. So we did poetry or Noetry at our Chicago live show. So you already know which poem I wrote. But
That's right.
I'm like, why do we just burn it at a live show? 300 some odd people listen to it and then nobody else ever? I mean, I wrote a fucking poem.
Yeah.
We should have it exposed to a wider audience.
That's true. I love that for you.
So maybe I'll read these 3 poems. You can go back into what you were thinking at the time, what you did guess. I'll spoil it a little that says you didn't guess correctly.
That is right.
And also, if you're playing at home, try to figure out which poem is mine.
Okay. Read them in the same order, too.
Okay. Same order, same poems.
Yep.
Play along at home.
Yes,
And
please.
don't lie and say, I thought you
It's
wrote
not
this
worth it.
specific
It's not
one."
worth it.
I want to know the God's honest truth. Okay, let's start
Okay.
with number 1, which is called frontistery,
Frontistery.
which is kind of a unique word. It's spelled Phrontistery, frontistery. Greetings from the frontistery, where words deny their mystery. An ergonaut and balloonist wife commit to rough an airborne life. An aquabibe, a water drinker, shrugging off lives and harder liquor. The lucky man sits bona fide, the courageless babulcitate. Regale with tale of daring do, defined the lines twixt me and you. Of future kind and history, not all can bear frontistery. Again, the word is frontistery. And now for something completely different. The approach of winter. The half-stripped trees struck by a wind together, bending all. The leaves flutter dryly and refuse to let go, or driven like hail, stream bitterly out to one side and fall, where the salvia's hard carmine, like no leaf that ever was, edge the bare garden.
Yep.
Poem the 3rd. Landscape with the Fall of Icarus. According to Bruegel, when Icarus fell, it was spring. A farmer was plowing his field. The whole pageantry of the year was awake, tingling near. The edge of the sea, concerned with itself, sweating in the sun that melted the wing's wax. Unsignificantly off the coast, there was a splash, quite unnoticed. This was Icarus drowning.
Okay. I'm going to give everybody at home a few moments to think. The poems, again, were Frontistery, The Approach of Winter, and what was the last one? Icarus?
Landscape with the Fall of Icarus.
Landscape with the Fall of Icarus.
So try to really define which one you thought. Don't just say, I think it's this one, but it might be this one.
Well, so
harness a fucking guess.
Yeah.
Be courageous for once.
All right. Now lock in your guesses, and I'll go through my thought process.
Yeah.
Thought process was, I believe I said this first. I said Frontistery was awful, but I didn't think you would have the gall to read a Jabberwocky style nonsense poem.
And it rhymed.
Yeah, and it rhymed. It was just kind of, and it was so different than the other two. I was like, this is a red herring. The Approach of Winter moved me. So I knew instantly that you did not write The Approach of Winter. Edge of the Bear
Even though
Garden.
that's sort of my MO when thinking of things. It's like, oh, it's cold here. It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
The winter's coming.
Right.
That's sort of a theme I thought you would think I would write.
I would when you first said it, but as soon as you said that last line, like my soul stirred, and I was like, no, he didn't write that. So I eliminated that one first, and then that
Like
brought
no
me
leaf
to,
that ever was. Edge the Bear Garden. That's the one.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the line
Goddamn.
that gave it away.
It's a good line.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, so it's between Frontistery and Landscape with the Fall of Icarus.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think the Fall of Icarus has like, it read almost like it's almost like you went to the Wikipedia for Icarus and you were just like telling the tale. And then there were two
A Greek myth of a guy who flew too close to the sun.
Yeah. There were two parts of it that I was like, this isn't really a good poem. This edge of the sea, concerned with itself. I was like, that just seems like somebody trying to be poetic, and it doesn't really mean anything. The edge of the sea is concerned with itself. And then also, insignificantly, there was a splash quite unnoticed. I'm like, that's redundant.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's a wannabe. It's a poser. This poem is a poser poem. And the thing that gave me pause was the line, the farmer plowing his field, the whole pageantry in bloom. Like calling crops and food, like a harvest, a pageantry was a really beautiful image. But I was like, you know what? I think he has that in him. And I don't want to hear frontistery again. So I had you read.
And you did pull the crowd at one point.
Yeah. And what did everybody think?
I think a lot of them saw it 2, and you were like, no, it's not 2.
Yeah, they didn't
That
like
poem was
2.
too good.
I thought poem 2 was good, so I knew that wasn't. There was the first guy we asked. I was like, does anybody think it's frontistery? And not a lot of people thought it was. But one guy raised his hand in the front row, and I said, why do you think it was frontistery? And he was
the
like,
front row, yeah.
Yeah, the front row. And he was like, well, most of the words were nonsense. And I was like, oh yeah. But I think he wouldn't have the courage to do all nonsense. So that was when I locked in my guess. Landscape with the Fall of Icarus was not you.
Which was written by William Carlos
Which
Williams, who
was you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my pseudonym. Approach of Winter and Landscape, both written by William Carlos Williams, famous poet.
Right, which made me feel bad because I really didn't like Landscape with the Fall of Icarus, and I did really like this, The Approach of Winter.
Yeah, but you don't have to like everybody's poems if you just like one of them.
Yeah, I guess I like one of the lines, and then also interestingly, the poem was written about a painting. So
so I sent this to AVITAL, and she actually guessed frontistery as mine because she's like, Landscape of the Fall of Icarus sounds familiar, and it is indeed a painting by this guy Bruegel. The poem starts according to Bruegel, and then he just describes this poem.
Yeah,
and AVITAL was pretty adamant that this poem was kind of cheating. Like the poem is awesome and the painting is awesome and interesting, but the poem is just like, yeah, according to this painter, this is what happened.
I guess maybe that's why I didn't like it.
You're just saying.
Maybe that's why I didn't like it. And and so tell me what you did with frontistery, because I didn't really get to interview you about it.
So with frontistery, I was on the flight to Chicago and I Googled obscure words because I'm like, let me just pepper this thing with words that don't sound like words I would use, because that's part of the thing of trying to trick you, is to use words that I wouldn't necessarily use. So I searched what are rarely used American words, and that sent me to a website called The Frontistery, which in itself is a unique word. Because it means like a place to think.
Oh.
So then it was like, welcome to the frontistery. Here's all these words that mean things, and here they are. And one of them was aquabibe, a water drinker. One of them was lucky. Bonafate means lucky. Babulcitate means having no courage. So I'm like, okay, let me try to come up with this sort of like whimsical Dr. Seuss style poem where the frontistery is like, ooh, welcome. Here's a guy without courage. You could call him Babulcitate. And he sits next to an ergonaut, a balloonist, and an aquabibe, a water drinker. So it's just like threw all these random jobs in there.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I did want to add that I remember is Tales of Daring Do, which sounds like Middle English or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never said that out loud, so I think that would trip him up.
Right. And it's funny because Tottenham's slogan is "To dare is to do."
Oh, interesting.
So,
but have you ever heard of Daring Do? DERRING?
DEORRIN? No, I guess I haven't. I always imagined it was DARI, like daring and do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's DE?
DERRING, like the Middle English version of it, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then I'm like, to make it more of a red herring, like you said, the next two are just going to be fucking poems about the weather.
Yeah.
So it's like, does he really think I wrote a fucking Dr. Seuss on acid Mad Magazine poem?
Yeah.
Or this other poem about leaves
and Icarus falling.
I should have known though that you would have had more fun with the frontistery poem. Like that is way more your vibe.
Right. But I remember like the last time we played this, I read Ella Telefino, which was an elephant telephone hybrid. And you're like, that one's not yours. So I'm like, oh, maybe he doesn't think I'm capable of doing something silly and whimsical. But that's probably one of the poems I could probably write better than the others.
Right. The frontistery might be better than Ella Telefino.
Hellafino. Yeah, so somebody actually tweeted at me after the show, like, can I read frontistery? So I did post it on my Twitter account if you guys want to see it, frontistery. Wow. And I think the website is called frontistery.info. Let me see. Yeah, frontistery.info, a thinking place. And it's just short Scrabble words, jobs that don't exist anymore.
That's great.
Lost words, a whole glossary of shit like that.
Okay. Well, congrats. You've now gotten me twice or thrice?
Yeah, once with Shakespeare, once with this.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very, very good.
And you got me once with the like naval poem or something.
Yes, what he saw. That's correct. What he saw. What is it about what he saw that is just
And
perfect?
still, I think my most famous poem is Hogwash or Ha'un. Sorry, just Ha'un.
Yeah, just
Hogwash
Ha'un.
or Ha'un is the game we play, yeah.
It should have been Sadie, though. Sadie is a great poem.
We're getting eerily close to being able to do a book or at the very least a brochure of our original poetry.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Didn't you say you've been writing poems, but you don't want to share them?
Yeah. I was doing them almost as like a gratitude list, how some people do that to start their day. I was just like writing a free form poem every day.
You're an impressive guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poesy or Noesy?
What?
The next Dregman is Poesy or Noesy.
Okay.
This is
Edgar
pretty much
Allan Poe's
airlifted.
pussy or his nose?
I thought we said we're not kidding.
This is just poetry or Noetry, but I kind of punched it up. You were saying I was intelligent. I kind of appreciated that. It's not just poetry; it's actually poesy as well. It's not, it's sort of the
What's poesy?
poesy is just a synonym for poetry.
No, it's
Is
not.
it?
Yeah, it is.
Poesy?
We're
It's an
saying
old
he's
timey
smart.
way of saying poetry.
Have you
Okay.
heard that? No, never. But I don't know. Maybe
He
it's
did get an almost
real.
perfect score on his SAT.
Poesy, noun, the art and composition of poetry.
That's weird. I
Yeah.
read a word that sounds like the other word.
So it's actually not poetry. It's the composition of poetry.
So you're going to read 3 poems? Is it the same exact segment as our show segments?
I ran out of time to come up with a brand new Dregman.
Okay.
But writing a poem is difficult.
You didn't
too.
come up with other new ones either, by the
Who's
way.
101? It was a punch out.
And mystery
Punch
guest,
down.
Shivering guest.
Right.
Shivering guest is
Jeff doing punch downs.
That's a punch
Segments is
down.
really good.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, so should we explain to anybody who listens to this show, but not me and Amir show, what this segment is? Poesy or Noesy?
You definitely.
Sorry, do
we
you want to
definitely all
like
know.
commandeer the whole show?
No, I haven't. I don't think I've spoken out of turn yet.
I don't think I've said anything yet.
Sure.
I really
Yeah,
plugged
you
it.
guys pitch it and you guys can plug segments. But again, no one who listens to segments, by the way, doesn't listen to Dregman.
What?
Then they already know. The segment
They
is
know.
So what
Yeah, I
about-
don't think
yeah.
that
what
you have to.
Like some of us who. Like,
Okay.
Maybe
so the
there's one or
segment-
two of us
yeah,
that doesn't know.
The segment
Yeah.
is we read 3 poems, 2 of them real, and one of them that either Amir or I wrote, and we try to guess, which one.
That's a good segment.
Just
a good segment.
shoulders back and maybe scoot your butt back, just like you're.
I'm fine.
You're. If you're all right with fine, yeah. Here we go. Tinkle, tinkle, little car, how I wonder what you are. Leaking oil every
You.
day, having it your own way. Going up hills real slow, I don't want you any mo. Tinkle, tinkle, little car, boy, what a lemon you are.
Let's hear the second one.
It's not good, but it's like
He might
kind
have
of
found a
impressive
shitty
as a
poem.
limerick.
Yeah.
Every word rhymed, I think.
Okay, go ahead.
With itself? What does that mean? Every word rhymes.
every end of the word, every end of the line.
Every line.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
Okay.
A funny young fellow named Perkins was terribly fond of small gherkins.
So this is the limerick.
One day after tea, he ate 90 tree and pickled his internal workins.
That one's pretty good, and I don't think you wrote it.
I don't think you wrote it either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Perkins, gherkins, internal workins.
I don't think you wrote the lemon car one either.
Interesting.
So I think the last one is going to be you. Let's
All
take
right.
a listen.
Where do you think you found the car one?
He just searched
I
Twinkle Tinkle Little Car, and it showed up on Google.
I didn't search it on Google. I searched it on my history
Hmm.
because I love that poem. That's a joke. That one might be the one I wrote.
But you're admitting that gherkins is not you.
Well, I think that you guys are kind of. I wouldn't jump to any conclusions, is what I'll say.
Okay.
There's also a chance you wrote all three of these.
I can see that.
A game show host that's just like sputtering the whole time. Incredible.
A game show is that's leaking oil.
Yeah.
Okay. Do not make haste, its breast is dressed. Displace horseradishy waste, no need for more zest. Some simply taste and seek to impress, while others disgrace and don't trust the chef. Don't dunk Toro in soy, ditch chopsticks for hands. Drink Sapporo with
Don't.
joy, and let fish guide your glands.
I mean, that one's has to be Geoff.
But here's the thing: there's he could also have plugged in prompts to ChatGPT, and
Yeah, they could all be AI, or they could all be Geoff.
Do you want the titles of all these?
Sure.
yeah, that's usually how poetry.
Okay, the first one is Tinkle Tinkle Little Car.
Yeah.
The second one is Funny Young Fellow.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is Omakase.
All right. So I think I feel like you could have written the first and the last, but the funny young fellow,
Yeah.
I don't. That one seems like it's such an old limerick.
Right,
that-
like a 1912
Yeah.
Harvard Lampoon joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if you wrote it, you would have
Like
beaten
a
the joke to
Richard
death a little
Lear.
bit more.
Yeah,
That
I
was
mean, the
his
fact
first
that there was Norman Lear. Yeah,
Right. That's
The
what I
fact
meant.
that there was soy and fish in the last one makes it so.
And Omakase is the title.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that one's obviously Geoff.
Wait, sorry,
The
hold on.
question is,
I
did
have
he
a
write
That
the
one
other
makes
one.
sense, though. That one it's called Omakase, and it's describing
Yeah.
someone who's eating sushi wrong.
I'll say that you only wrote that last.
I have a
one.
question.
Okay.
Are you saying that the other ones were written by like poets or like by?
Yeah, the game is like two written by real
No,
poets.
I know the real game is like that, but this one you're saying the other ones were written by like actual poets, or just like
I don't think that.
Or,
I think that's too much
or
information.
the other author's as dumb as you.
it's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm like anybody could have written anything.
Two of these are written by real poets.
poets
Real
Yeah.
poets.
who have written other poems.
Well, it depends on what your definition of published is.
Does Mad
That's kind of
Magazine
what I'm
count?
asking.
Does
yeah.
the internet count? Sure.
No.
Do they have their own books of poetry? Probably not.
I mean, what are you
Okay.
leaning towards, Anya?
Which one Geoff wrote?
Yeah.
Well, it's
That's what you're
impossible to
trying to
say
figure out.
because it's impossible to say because
that bothered you?
because if Geoff versus actual poem is one thing, but Geoff versus like something he read online.
He's
is-
muddied the water. This isn't
Yeah.
a true poetry or Noetry, but it's the Geoff version.
All right,
of
so
it.
you guys get
I
yours
think
from
the-
the internet?
No, we get award-winning poems.
Yeah.
Not
Really?
like Tinkle Tinkle Little.
They
I
all
do think
win
he wrote
awards?
the last
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Yeah. Last one. Final
Okay.
answer.
Last one.
Correct! I wrote Omakase.
You tried to steer us away from that. You're like that one. The title
That
makes
one's
sense,
really good,
and
I
the stuff that's
think.
in it is
So where did
also.
you get the first two?
The internet.
Yeah.
Tinkle Tinkle Little Car.
Yeah, I googled short poems.
Got it. And that was
Yeah.
just a website that had that poem on it.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first
What-
one is Tinkle Tinkle Little Car by Cecilia L. Goodbody. And the second one is Funny Young Fellow by Graham Lester.
A car wrote the first one.
Yeah. I feel like we're not giving my poem enough credit, though. I know that it's like, oh, Geoff wrote that, but it's kind of good.
Let's hear it
It's-
again.
Yeah.
Omakase by Jeffrey James.
By the way, it's not about it being good or not. It's
Yeah.
about we knew it was you.
I know,
That-
but if
It
it
was
hit
a
you
little bit-
viscerally in your
it didn't.
archetypal center, you maybe
It
would have been
didn't.
like, wow, that brought me to tears.
No, but it
Well,
was
it's not
like
gonna bring us-
overwrought in a way that I knew that it was like a Geoff joke.
Yeah.
I
mean,
thought
even
that
the
it
Compared
word
to other
joy-
shitty poems, yours
I was
stood
gonna
out.
say that the structure of it was there.
Wasn't.
that the content was cohesive and the whole thing was wrapped in a tiny
There
bow.
were a lot of buzzwords, though, that
used
gave
white
it away.
Space well.
No, you didn't.
I did use white
You're
space
so obsessed
well.
with fish and joy
fish.
and
Yeah,
soy
joy.
that
Joy,
it becomes
joy,
like
sorry, I forgot
that's
Toro,
your
Sapporo.
identity. Do you understand that? That you're like a fish and soy.
You're a fishmonger. You're a fucking
Yeah.
fisherman.
Honestly, guessing that was like fish in a
Are you
barrel.
fucking proud of yourself?
That's your
what
legacy?
you become?
Yeah.
Like that we hear
trout and we know it's
like
you?
fish glands and we're like, yep,
True.
that one's Geoff. He loves that shit.
It's your personality is to be
Yeah.
a fishmonger or monger.
It's crazy to have a comedy style that's just the word joy.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
comedy's kind of healing. I really do think that the world needs a little more joy. And I don't know, sue me if that's a bad quest.
Let's hear.
Omakase
Yeah.
by Jeffrey James.
Okay.
Do not make haste. Its breast is dressed. Displace horseradishy waist. No need for more zest.
Yeah, listening to it now, it's like obviously
Horseradishy is the worst adjective ever.
He
Horseradishy
couldn't get it out
waist.
clean either time.
Let's hear you say
Of course
that
it's
word
not a
once.
word.
I
It's not a
almost
word.
was like, well, this one isn't you because you had trouble reading it. But then I realized
That word doesn't exist.
Horseradishy waist.
horseradishy.
Some simply taste and seek to impress, while others disgrace and don't trust the chef.
Yeah, like the trust me Mizawa.
Omakase
style.
means trust the chef, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we got it.
Don't dunk Toro in soy.
Yeah.
Ditch chopsticks for hands.
Right. So you're just explaining how to eat sushi.
But, like,
Nigiri,
with your
yeah.
hands.
Yeah. What's that?
You want to say just pick up the fish with your hands?
With
Ditch
nigiri, you're
chopsticks.
supposed to use your hands and dip it fish side down.
Yeah.
Drink. See, this poem is for fuckers like him.
Nice.
We have to take another break before we
Oh
get to the
my
last two lines. Drink Sapporo with joy and let fish guide your glands.
Were you planting those so that we would get it, right?
Or
Or
is
can
that
you-
just kind of all you can come
That's what I was
up
gonna say.
with?
Or can you not help yourself?
I did it last, and I thought that but I was like, let me make it about rice and fish, but let me try and make it as good as I can. So I was like, oh, let me
That's
make it
as good
about
as you can?
something. Well, I did it in like 15 minutes,
Right.
but it's like
It's a long time.
It's about
Yeah.
omakase. It has a whole moral to the story, which is like, can we dissect it?
I wouldn't call it a moral.
The breast is dressed,
I think
meaning
you should
don't.
do it
If
it's
nigiri,
breast.
Let her interrupt you. It'll be worth it.
It's not breast.
well, okay, true,
Okay. Yeah.
but when you go to omakase, dining experience or otherwise, the fish is already dressed. It already has the sauce that's supposed
That's
to be
not
on
the
it.
part that I'm saying was wrong.
I know you're not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's really good,
Oh, I see.
right? I'm saying basically that the poem's about omakase. So the first two lines are: do not make haste.
Uh-huh.
The breast is dressed, meaning the
Don't-
sauce is on the
yeah.
fish. You don't need to dunk it in soy. Displace horseradishy waist.
Stop saying that word wrong.
Also, it's not where's the horseradish in your sushi experience? It's wasabi, but it's not horseradish.
Yeah, it is.
it's not.
Really?
It's not.
It's
It's
called
wasabi.
wasabi.
It's literally wasabi.
It's a different plant.
That's in the plant family of
Yeah.
horseradish.
Horseradish.
Horseradish. But displace wasabi. Don't add it on
Why
because it
didn't-
doesn't
why
need
didn't
more
you write-
zest.
why didn't you
It
write
doesn't need more
wasabi?
zest.
Wasabi you can even say better than you can say horseradishy.
Some simply taste and seek to impress. Some people go to these places and they know exactly what they're doing,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then others disgrace the chef by not trusting their ass.
Right.
Don't dunk Toro in soy because it's definitely going to be dressed. Ditch chopsticks for hands because Amir he didn't even know.
Yeah.
With nigiri, you're supposed to use your hands and do fish side down.
I didn't know that either, but
Drink
okay.
Sapporo with joy. Have a good time at the omakase.
Yeah.
And let the fish guide your glands.
The worst thing I've ever heard. Guide your gland.
plugs.
Now here's one more effort for only positive motivations, they swear. Another podcast, each app different from the last.